my crumbs on your back. Oh Lord, what have I done? Hanging high on the cross, you make good come from loss. Oh Lord, I see it now. Oh Lord, I see it now. But behind this curtain of circumstance, a heavenly hand holds the strength. I cling to the hope that you promise. I can't see, but I know there you are. But I know there you I feel exactly the same. 10 steps from a hurricane. I know if I'm to blame, I'll be in danger. One thing before I go, I'd rather sleep alone than know I've built a home with total strangers. I lost those feelings. All my hope is gone. It's like I'm dying slowly. I know this is done. It's me against the rise. I'm reaching through the darkness. Is anybody out there? I try to change that. Played it like a game, but I feel it in the morning air. I feel the setting sun burning inside my lungs. Daylight that never comes, I fade away. I hear the violent crash of waves in the aftermath. Whispers that can't take back their grace ways. I lost those feelings. All my hope is gone. It's like I'm dying slowly. I know this is done. It's me against the rise. I'm reaching through the darkness. Is anybody out there? I try to change that. Played it like a game, but I feel it in the morning air. Your rubber felt so light, like you're walking through the dark. All the words begin to turn, all your hopeless thoughts. Can you see me now? 'Cause I've lost myself. I don't know what I've become. Lost myself. It's me against the rise. I'm reaching through the darkness. Is anybody out there? I try to change that. Played it like a game, but I feel it in the morning air. Can't find the light in the middle of the night. Can feel my feet when the river runs deep. I close my eyes 1,000 times and all I see is you. I'm flying high, it's do or die. I wanna feel the fall, I wanna lose control. It's black as white, so wrong it's right. I do it to myself. If I had to get lost to find you, if I had to get lost to find you, if I had to get lost to find you, I would lose myself again. If I had to get lost to find you, I would lose myself again. I feel the pleasure hidden in the pain. I feel the sunlight fall through the rain. But I search for you, but I search for you time and time again. I'm flying high, it's do or die. I wanna feel the fall, I wanna lose control. It's black as white, so wrong it's right. I do it to myself. If I had to get lost to find you, I would lose myself again. If I had to get lost to find you, I would lose
GSL Season 1 Code S Daybreak. Live from Free Cup Studio in Seoul, this is the GSL. We are the Wrecking Crew!
It just does not stop, Artosis. We are back from I Am Pyeongchang, and we have another wonderful day of the GSL Code S, starting in the round of 16.
Tasteless, I gotta tell you, we're not the only ones back. Zest is back, and the champion of I Am Pyeongchang in Scarlett is back here as well.
So we need to highlight the schedule changes that are occurring right away. We'll be back on our normal time on Wednesday. Then we have the weekend off. It's Lunar New Year here in Korea. That's one of the biggest holidays all year round, so nobody's working then. We come back at the usual time on Wednesday, and then we have a broadcast on a different day and a different time than we normally ever do. That will be Thursday at 9 p.m.
Yes.
KST. So mark that down. Remind your friends if they're regular watchers, because otherwise they're going to be very confused when they try to come in on Saturday and discover that all the results were already all over Team Liquid and Reddit.
Yes, it's much, much later than we normally start, by like 2.5 hours. So definitely mark your calendars for that. It's a big PvP group that day, of course. Today is such a sick group. It's going to be Scarlett, I Am Champion, Innovation, Zest, and Leenock playing today. Really exciting group. We haven't had a non-Korean player in the GSL Code S round of 16 since Nanowong.
That's right.
That is so long ago.
5.5 years ago or 6 years ago? Is that
Something
correct?
like that. Maybe 2013, I want to say.
좀 아까 전에 인터뷰에서 보니까 이동영 선수가 가장 제격이다라는 이야기를 좀 해줬어요.
이동영님이죠. 16강 올라오시면 저랑 같은 조 될 것 같네요.
빨리 뽑냐 늦게 뽑냐의 차이긴 한데
마치 자석처럼 끌려가서 그대로 끌고
이거는 이왕 이렇게 뽑혔는데 그래도 멋지게 각오 한 말씀 해주셔야죠.
아니 근데 뭐 크게 다른 테란이랑 게임 해보면 다를 거 없더라고요. 제가 잘해진 건 아니겠죠. 왜냐면 저는 많이 쉬었으니까. 여기가 좀 약해지지 않았나. 제가 당연히 스칼렛을 뽑을 거라고 생각하고 그림을 그리셨더라고요. 이미 빈정상했죠.
이미 엎질러진 물이고 제가 뭐라고 하겠어요.
네.
할 말이 없죠.
이동영 선수가 생각하는 그 범주 안에 주성욱 있습니까?
아, 저를 원하시더라고요, 성욱이.
주성욱이?
네.
동영이가 저 뽑으면 좀 시나리오대로 될 것 같아요.
나한테 오고 형이 스칼렛만 안 뽑으면 돼.
알아.
이제 선택이 또 연달아서 중요해진 거잖아요.
스칼렛이? 와, 주성욱 진짜 뽑았어.
저는 성우 형이 스칼렛을 뽑았으면 좋겠어요.
이야.
만약에 성우 형이 스칼렛을 안 뽑으면 성우 형을 보낼 거예요.
신영이가 스칼렛을 뽑으면 저를 안 보낸다고 하더라고요.
와.
근데 모르겠어요. 저 눈빛이 너무
무서워요. 보낼 수도 있고.
제가 원래 사람을 잘 못 믿는데
못 믿어요.
신영이가 여기서 또 거짓말 쳐버리면 저는 평생 사람을 못 믿을 것
사람 못 믿을 것 같아요. 자, 이 신영을 믿어야 한다. 손 한번 들어요. 믿어야 한다.
믿어야 되면 손을 드는 거죠.
그러면 한 명 믿지 말아라.
모두가 이신영 선수를 신뢰하지 않아요.
네.
Believe innovation. Trust him. He's good guy.
유일하게 믿는 건가요?
선택의 순간.
이제 여기서 주성 선수가 누구를 믿느냐를
자,
잘 쓰는 거죠.
믿음에. 자, 시청자 투표. 믿었어요. 일단.
이게 어떻게 일단 이신영을 믿었습니다. 모두가 믿지 않았는데.
저한테는 그 교환 찬스가 있어서 어떻게든 저는 올라갈 수 있는 그림을 그릴 수 있다고 생각합니다.
진짜? 진짜로요?
It's already packed in here as we have not even started our matches yet today. This is a really interesting group. So many storied players, but I would say that everybody's in a different spot. Well, maybe not Innovation. Innovation was it's just like everybody else in a very different place than they were, I'd say, a year ago.
Yeah, that's actually a really good way to put it, because Innovation, yeah, he's like always kind of like the best player.
Even if he occasionally falls out early, it's like, he'll be back.
It's whatever. It happens. Right. You know, it's a hard game. But yeah, like Leenock, just kind of making some upsets and making it here. Zest has been in very good shape, but did just lose to a laser in IM Pyeongchang, right? So he didn't get a finish that he wanted. He got top 8 when we were looking at Zest as a round of 4, a finals guy, maybe even a champion of that. And then, of course, Scarlett. She just won. She just won a big, important tournament. So she's in fantastic shape, and who knows, maybe we'll get a round of 8 non-Korean player once again.
I think it's very possible Scarlett gets out second place. As you can see, we got Tim Morton in the audience today. He's in charge of StarCraft 2.
Yeah, he is basically the most important man in the whole world. The smartest man. He's ripped, as you can see. I mean, he's fantastic. And I heard through the grapevine he brought some things for us to raffle away at the end of GSL shows.
We've got some goodies down here. So if you're in the audience, do not leave when this is done. We have giveaways, all sorts of cool stuff. A lot. I see how we're getting a shot of it now. See, we weren't lying to you guys.
Oh my God, I wore that T-shirt today.
I have that stuffed probe in my house.
Me too. I do too. I had that backpack, but I gave it to my wife.
I can't blame you. That's a good gift.
Yeah, she loves
that. That means you truly love her.
Yeah.
So do hang around. I believe those gifts are not just for today, but we're actually going to be slowly passing those out as we move on into the season. To what we were talking about earlier, though, who's going to advance? I would say. Now you know what he actually looks like when we cast the games. Now you know.
I actually squat in my chair.
He actually squats like he's a samurai.
It's really weird. I don't know.
During the games. To what we were saying earlier about who might actually move on, I think, as much of a fan as I am of Scarlett, I think she'll get out second, Innovation probably first. But if Scarlett gets out first, then I guess, of course, I shouldn't be that surprised, considering she just dominated an Intel Extreme Masters, beating SOS, which is no small feat.
Well, she beat a bunch of Zergs and then Protoss to get out of there. She did take out time as well and looked good doing it. But, you know, Innovation is a different beast. We'll see about that. Of course, he wasn't traveling, playing in tournaments during that time, so he had plenty of time to practice a lot. And having 2 Zergs in his group, I'm sure he spent a good amount of time on that. So, I don't know. This is a very hard group to predict. I think that Leenock getting out is a bit of a stretch. He would have to, basically the way I see for Leenock is he would have to upset Zest to have a chance and then beat Scarlett, right? Like, the ZVZ I see as it can happen, right? Like, Leenock's ZVZ is quite strong. He beat Solar to get to this round, so there's a small chance, but other than that, I'm looking at it and saying, okay, I think Innovation should certainly get out, but I'm not really sure. You know, Zest and Scarlett definitely are killers.
Innovation consistently argued to be the best player in the world, and part of that is backed up by how consistent he is. He brings games that look impeccable. It looks like it's played by some kind of a supercomputer. Quite the opposite of SOS, who is somebody else who has consistently argued as the very best of the best. I'm curious. I know that I'm getting maybe a little bit ahead of myself, but if Scarlett and Innovation do face off, what that's going to look like. Because if Scarlett can take out both SOS and Innovation, 2 very different players, within the same week, that's crazy. But speaking of this match specifically, Leenock, there's no other way to put it. He is the underdog in this group, despite the fact that he is probably, correct me if I'm wrong here, I think he's actually been in the GSL the longest. In this
might
group.
Actually be right.
I am 99% sure
well, in
of
this
that.
group, you
For
are
sure.
right, but it might be amongst all players as well. Like, he was in season 1 or 2.
It would either be Leenock or Alive or Gumiho, I think.
I believe Leenock actually wins that. He was in season 1 or 2,
right?
and I'm trying to remember which one, but he certainly was. He was the one that upset Nod and made Nod take his jacket off.
That's right.
An epic moment in StarCraft history. By the way, they were showing the medal tally of golds. Of course, Innovation has 3, Zest has 2. That means that this group, for the entire history of Code S, this group has like something like 13% of the, or 14% of all Code S champions, like all the championships. That's That's huge. This is a hard group when you look at it in that way.
We are going to start things off in this best of 3 on the map Catalyst. This is Innovation versus Leenock.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
All right.
Innovation.
Man, I'm excited about this. Pyeongchang was such a great tournament. Having 2 of those competitors here, having Innovation here, Leenock, someone who's already done some upsets. StarCraft 2, of course, in a great spot right now.
Titan EX1, Leenock.
We've seen, like, you know what I really liked about Pyeongchang as well? And not just that it was so international and Scarlett won and all that, but, like, there was such a diversity of strategies. How many different strategies did we see? Like, almost, it was crazy how many different ones.
It really expressed the full range of different play styles. To what you were saying just a little bit earlier, Artosis, I totally agree. Life is good right now. We just got done with IM Pyeongchang. Scarlett's here in the round of 16, along with these other great players like Innovation and IM Katowice. Is it Katowice or Katowice?
Katowice. That's closer to it than Katowice, but
we'll have to make sure we've got that down before we go to the tournament. But that's just around the corner as well.
Still can't say it. I don't hold out.
It's not as hard as whenever there's a tournament, Youngkapin or Young Shipping, or Youngkapuk, or I've heard it said so many ways. Yeah. Even when I'm down there, that I start to get really insecure about whether or not I'm saying it right. Yeah. But of course, we have a ton of great tournaments that have just passed, ones that are happening now, and ones that are coming up.
Of course, GSL round of 16. This is where it really heats up. And the thing is, the round of 32 was actually quite good. We did have some great upsets. We had some great games in there. But generally, you know, it's like the top, let's say, 16, 17, 18 players, something like that, are like really better than the other players, you know? So we sometimes get those one-sided games. But at this point, like, we're like, yeah, I think Innovation is going to get out of here. And, you know, other than that, who knows?
I'm looking. Scarlett's actually still getting her gear set up. I was wondering how much she's going to be trying to monitor this game firsthand, just to try to get a read on Innovation. As I would say, he is probably the biggest obstacle for her going into this group.
Well, I think that No Regret, you know, he's here. He helps her out as much as he possibly can, and I have no doubt that he is sitting there watching these games for her. I feel like she should be just kind of focusing on playing against Zest. You know, don't think about this right now. If you beat Zest and you play Innovation in that next round, or if Leenock somehow wins and you lose to Zest and you play him, let someone like No Regret that's here in a somewhat coaching way, right, come to you and say, okay, these are the builds that he opened with. This is how he looked good today. This is how he looked bad today. That's, you know, it's such a useful thing and something that, you know, is going to give her an edge if he helps her out in that way.
Okay, 2 Hellions and Reaper coming up now. Looks like they will be able to get at least in between where the 3rd and 2nd base are. And Leenock, I have to say, some of these moves here by Innovation are actually quite ambitious. Not just what we saw right back there, but when the Reaper jumped up and tried to chuck a nade up there. Any additional damage that's on those Hellions is pretty permanent, unless he sends them all the way back across the map and repairs them, in which case then they're not doing what they're supposed to do anyways, which is try to drive back creep tumors.
Well, he does bring it back, actually, and repairs them.
I know.
So there you go. And, yeah, I mean, more Hellions on the way, a Liberator on the way here as well. But, you know, the one thing I do like is when you do something like take out the first creep tumor, that's like the most expensive creep tumor of the entire game. Do you know what I mean? It's like killing a drone early. Killing a creep tumor early is very similar.
That's actually a good point, because it takes away so much of the momentum, when really your goal right now is to try to connect the 2nd base and 3rd base.
Yeah.
Okay, we see Innovation now coming up, and this is actually completely unguarded. Whoa!
Oh my god, there's 7 roaches on the way, and that was actually a great evolution chamber to try to block those from running through, but they go into the main base here, chasing down these drones.
Oh my god!
They're lining up!
Now to 11 kills, and I don't think that number's going to be slowing down. 14, and we definitely will have 15. With still more volleys available from the Hellions. I have to say, the moment...
Oh my god.
Okay, so 19 kills total. I have to say, the moment that Innovation even saw the drone move where it was going to plant the evolution chamber. He had already gone up the ramp.
Yeah.
And I think even Leenock was not expecting Innovation to react that fast.
You know, this is a heartbreaker as well. He had 7 roaches in production. If those roaches had popped out right before those got there, he'd have been fine. But here we are, Innovation building 4 bunkers. He's taking this rush so seriously. This counterattack has to do something.
This is an awkward position because the Liberator can't really be used unless it's put in a stationary position, which is quite good against the Ravager Corrosive Vials, but it seems like he's actually handling it very, very well. Ideally, if the Liberator wasn't here, he'd be Corrosive Vialing the bunkers. So I think in a very funny way, this is actually possibly going to work out for him in the long run.
Oh my God, forces a cancel on that command center, so good move by Leenock. Innovation somehow, someway keeping the Liberator alive, gets a siege tank out on the high ground. We don't see anything to spot that due to the early Viking that pushed out the Overlords. There is one coming down. That's going to allow Leenock to have a chance here to blow up that siege tank.
Oh my gosh!
What?
I think that was a misclick because
it must have been.
Some of those were on the bunker. It might have been actually not just a misclick, maybe actually just a miscalculation on how much damage was going to be distributed out there because he got neither the bunker or the Liberator. And this Liberator is still in this game. This is the MVP, so he's going to send this back now, try to repair it up. The Overlord, I believe, just north of our screenshot here, should have vision available for the Ravagers. Well, he's not moving it yet, but it should. If he wanted to, he would have vision to gun down the tank. I think Leenock's
the rush is over.
Bungling this rush multiple times here. I think there was 3 different moments the Liberator could have been picked off.
Yeah, we saw him actually bile it 3 times, 3 distinct times, and every time it barely didn't die, which is weird. Like you don't normally see that being like the mistake.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I'm not really completely sure about how that occurred for Leenock, but that's kind of a heartbreaker. It feels like maybe he could have had a bit more momentum, done a bit more damage if he had picked that off the first time or the second time. You know, the third time, that's just salt in the wound. Will he get that one?
Yep. That's what revenge looks like. Don't know if it's going to be enough, even though both the Viking and the Liberator were taken out. I think Leenock really investing a lot into trying to bust down his opponent. Do you think the Lings saw that pickup?
No.
They were just out of range then?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Do those see him? There we go.
So he should know, assuming he's watching.
Yeah. You know, the one thing that we can say that's positive about the rush is it did cancel the 3rd CC, but that doesn't make up 19 drones dying, nor does it make up for, you know, the combination of 19 drones dying plus that much income put into the attack that he did. So I'm definitely still worried here for Leenock. He's going 1-1 for his Roaches right now and his Ravagers. They are out of position. This drop hitting that main base looks like the Lings maybe didn't see it, even though
the target firing is real. Yeah. And I think that the majority of the drones are going to be gunned down here. And I actually don't think really that if Innovation controls this correctly, he's going to lose much of anything.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of times Innovation is so good at dropping and shooting down all the correct units in the exact perfect order and getting out that I'm having a hard time imagining a game where Leenock is actually going to stabilize off of this, because one thing we know for sure with Innovation is that this is not going to slow down.
Yeah.
Momentum is already building up, and I think with all these Ravagers being made right now, I think Leenock wants to try to go into plan B here and be super aggressive, and already the fact that Innovation is this aggressive, there's not going to be any surprises here. It still may be tough for Innovation to grapple with that many Ravagers, but now he at least has confirmation. We see bunkers going down as well as siege tanks in a good position, and a healthy amount of Marines.
Well, the pressure that he's put on, he's really not only done a lot of damage, but figured out what Leenock is up to, and we see that really underlined by the amount of bunkers he's making, how defensively he's kind of playing. Even though he's poking a bit and keeping Leenock busy, you know, as long as he does not die to this set of units that Leenock has right now, there's no great transition here for Leenock. How does, as we get higher and higher in supply, these Roaches and Ravagers are going to be worth less and less?
Yeah, Roach Ravager doesn't really pan out that well in the late game, which a lot of times what the Zerg's trying to do is fine, but the way this game is starting to look, in fact, I think there's nothing really to defend this main.
Yeah.
So critical damage is going to be dealt here once again, first for Leenock. Of course, these units can't defend back at home. In fact, maybe Innovation has 2 spread out. I mean, that's a lot of different drops. Even with this many tanks, I think a lot of Corrosive Vials could do some damage. Let's see.
Yeah, let's see how he hits these Vials, really. Coming up through this choke point, those Marines really keeping all the Ravagers back. Look at that. They're all stacked up. So much damage being dealt to Leenock's army.
I'm wondering, though, if there's too many tank volleys that are getting off.
Yeah.
I mean, the small number of Marines and Marauders with the medevacs. This is, I think, a manageable position, especially, oh, there it is, GG.
Yeah.
I can't blame Leenock for trying that. I'm not surprised, though, that it didn't work based off the events that happened throughout the course of that game with Innovation just doing too much damage.
Yeah. The initial Hellion run-in, 19 drones that early in the game when you switched into Roach production, and then your Roach attack doesn't really do much other than force a heavy defense and cancel a command center. That was almost a nail in the coffin, but Innovation continually dropping, getting extra damage done. Leenock never quite in position from that point forward. Innovation just kind of leaning on him, you know? Once you do that much damage as Innovation, you feel like you have the game won with mechanics as good as he has.
So, going into game number 2, what exactly does Leenock need to do? It seems like he had intentions of doing a Ravager push early on, but I think really the moment that Innovation came in there and did that much damage with his Hellions, I think it was it 19 drones?
19 drones.
19 drones killed off. Really, the wind is already taken out of the sails for Leenock. It's not like he's going to have a robust attack after that. I think we're going to have to see a healthier opening for Leenock at the bare minimum if he's going to win game number 2. But it's hard, man. Nobody plays like Innovation.
No, that is true. No one can.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak. Innovation.
Up 1-0 right now. Just a very solid game out of him. It's kind of the way Innovation is.
Yeah. He looks just so strong back there.
Titan EX1, Leenock.
You know, it's funny because with Leenock, even though I think we're all aware of sort of where he's at in StarCraft 2, it is incredible that he's been in this many GSLs for this long. I think it's easy sometimes, if you watch a lot of GSL, to start to get dismissive of the people that die off in the round of 32, and really that means you've consistently been the top 32 StarCraft 2 players in the world for basically since the beginning. Leenock's been in so many GSLs. If he's not in one, it's weird.
Yeah, that's he's definitely like a mainstay. Will we ever see greatness out of Leenock once again? Right, this guy is someone who got second place in a Code S to Jockji.
A lot of people don't remember that.
Yeah. Who's that?
Who's that? Oh my goodness. It's the best smile in StarCraft 2. Where are his headsets though? How's he going to get our great analysis, man?
Yeah, he doesn't want
Roddy, well, he watches this, he's going to get a little bit dumber if he has our voices in his ears. Always good to have Roddy down here in the studio.
Yeah. Great to have him in Korea, just staying over a couple days after Pyeongchang. So many people down here. Big who's who. StarCraft, having, of course, some Blizzard folks, Tim Morton, as we saw before.
As well as the regular non-Korean suspects. No regret, Scarlett down here, too.
Yeah. We saw Eggs down here. He came down.
Yeah.
So that was really cool.
So,
another Pyeongchang player.
That's right. So now we're waiting to see... Oh, hold on. So you guys are going to be able to deny the third? Yeah, because he can block the hatchery. So forced moment. Yeah, I thought he was going to get that too.
Not as good as that Reddit clip, is it?
No, not as good. So when you're watching that back there, he was going to be able to body block the hatchery, but if he had gotten up just close enough to touch the extractor, he would have blocked that too, and the drone would have died, which would have been pretty cool.
Yep.
But instead, the third hatchery is going to be planted, albeit a little bit later than Leenock would have ideally wanted.
Few Lings down here, checking to see if that Marine was going to overcommit. Of course, the Reaper coming back to make sure nothing's going to happen. Just solid play here out of Innovation. I do want to point out here, once again, he's going for... this is something I've talked about a lot with Innovation in the past. If he's playing a Zerg that he views himself as better than, and here's the thing, Innovation chose Leenock as his first opponent, right? So make no mistake, he may respect Leenock's skill, but he thinks he's a much better player.
This is what makes the round of 16 very interesting, is if you're going to get out of the round of 16 and upset, you have to really surprise everybody, including your opponents.
Yeah, and look, the build order that he's going for, if you just kind of go for a Reaper expansion, right? You make a Marine out of this as well, and you go into Reactored Hellions and a Starport, you can stop everything. There are possibilities to stop every single thing that Zerg is doing, basically. Like, you're going to get good scouting intel, you have the right units out, that you should be all right. So that's kind of what we see here from Innovation. And doing this build, I'm like just not surprised at all, you know? He's almost very predictable in this way.
Okay, now that the Link threat has been dealt with, the Hellions can come back out. Now, let's not forget in Game 1, the Hellions did way more damage than I think most of us were expecting. Also, Innovation a lot of times doesn't dive into locations and commit. He tends to sometimes keep the Hellions back and really try to play a control game. But that last game, he just saw the opening and went for it.
Oh, let's see if he's going to go for that again here. 6 Hellions and a Reaper. It's definitely a fearsome force. Queens are kind of patrolling around. A few Banelings out, some Speedlings being added as well. There's definitely some ways in that damage could be dealt, but you have to be careful. If he comes up and surrounds those Hellions, kills those off, your map control is gone as Innovation.
The Hellions continuing to loop out. I'd say overall the creeps spread a lot healthier this time around. Nice interception there at the ramp. Innovation did not have confirmation there was nothing there. So good job on both sides. Innovation bouncing off of that right away. And it looks like he's, I think, flirting with the idea of trying to push in, but thinks otherwise.
Yeah, you see 3 Queens there, a decent creep spread, good awareness. The Speedling's kind of on top of a ramp.
Yeah.
These are the hallmarks of a Zerg that's defending correctly, and I think it's smart that Innovation does not push in right now. And Leenock definitely off to a better start because of the way that this early game has gone. He hasn't lost 19 drones yet.
that's a real positive spin you have on that. Look, honestly, Leenock's got a, I'd say, a much better, healthier position. So he should be able to do at least what he's planned on doing. Unlike, I think, in the last game where he was, you know, he took an arrow to the knee really early on. And it was an uphill fight from there. And Innovation, generally, if he gets a leg up on you early on, it's pretty hard to recover.
I like that arrow.
Why are you laughing at that? Arrow to the knee?
Yeah. Wasn't that like a meme from that? What was that video game called? Skyrim.
Was it? I don't know. I just remember In Control would say it all the time, and I thought it was pretty funny.
It's like a Skyrim meme, I'm pretty sure. Anyways.
I think with this next drop coming out, that's where we're going to see really how good Leenock's defense is, because losing too many drones early on to Hellions is sort of unacceptable, but Innovation, even against the very best players in the world, this style specifically, he has won games off of just having such good exchanges.
Look at that. The Link's following him. He tries to drop off, but Leenock kind of on top of things at the moment. By the way, going into Aspire, this is definitely something that we've seen popping up again because everyone's making siege tanks to counter Hydraling Bane. But siege tank's not as good when you're going Mutalisks, so let's see if Leenock can actually pull this one off.
Yeah, it seems a lot like with the Muta play, it's almost like a reinvention of some earlier styles we saw in Heart of the Swarm. Now, hold on, here it is. The first big attack, and that's what I'm talking about. Who really came out on top there? Innovation by a lot.
Yeah.
Taking out both those Queens, I think losing only 1 Marine.
That's significant.
We've seen several games where he does this 3 or 4 times, just coming in, engaging, and pulling back out. And by the end, he's like way ahead.
Now, he certainly does not know about these Mutas, I would say. He's still making siege tanks. We see a Marauder being, oh, the Marauder's fine because it can tank Banelings and all that, but generally against the Mutas, you know, you might make a Thor or 2, but you definitely want some Widow Mines out there. And in fact, this fell out of, you know, popularity in a lot of ways because of how good Widow Mines can be against this style. Because of the less larva that you really get. But now with these Mutas out and him not really being ready, not automatically countering this because it's not as common, I feel like that gives Leenock some really good room to play here. Actually, he's got 4 bases, he's got great creep spread.
This could actually be pretty bad because these medevacs don't necessarily get back home okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see right now. If the Mutas can get at the right angle and the medevacs don't have the boost, then yeah, look at this. He's got to pull back around. Now, this is a pretty cool juke move here because if he gets enough unloaded here, then he can pick up a good number of the Marines. But I actually don't. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was wrong. He actually does have enough to get that out, but this is eventually cleaned up. So, big victory there for Leenock. With this style of play, Zerg stays at the tier 2 tech for a lot longer and ends up getting just so much muscle on the map that Terran ends up losing fights. So if Terran doesn't execute everything perfectly, it's pretty bad for them. And already Leenock now boosted up in supply. I think Leenock should be ready. I guess all dependent on both players' control. Leenock should be ready for a push from Innovation.
The only thing I'm afraid about here for Leenock, because I really like so many things about his play this game, and I like the fact for him that Innovation has so many siege tanks, which are not going to be as useful. They're still useful. They can hit banelings and all that. But just the fact that 2-2 is about to be finished for Innovation, there is going to be a little window here where he might have to fight 1-1 against 2-2.
Okay, 2-2, 10 seconds away from finishing. And Innovation already getting a pretty dominant position here. He'll have control of this ramp, so he should be able to set up siege tanks. Oh, as I say that, he actually turns. It looks like he's already aware that a counterattack is probably the choice that Leenock would go for due to the position Innovation is coming in. Innovation is going to come in and try to sandwich that right now.
Ooh, these Lings are all 1-1 fighting against this 2-2. The Marauders tanking so much, and you can really see that upgrade difference right there. The Mutas and Lings having to turn around. But you know what? The 5th base has not been canceled here for Leenock, and normally the point of contention is the 4th base when you're fighting against Mutiling Bane.
We should be seeing Innovation's armies snaking around the map, trying to make sure to intercept Leenock's army at every pass, and then eventually get a dominant position and crush through some of these bases. Leenock's control looking very good. Let's see what these banelings at the very top center that were being morphed, where they go, because Leenock does not, or Innovation does not have a exposed 4th base to kill SCV, so I guess it is just going to be used for this attack here.
Well, he does have his 2-2 now coming up, trying to get a big strong. Look at that number of banelings. The Muta's getting on top of everything as well. Oh my God, Leenock just slaughtering through this army. A ton of banelings left over as well.
And this is what we were talking about earlier, where in this style, where you're on tier 2 for a while, the number of Lings, banelings, and Mutalisks you can have, it sometimes doesn't matter how properly the Terran macroed up. You just have too much. And this puts Innovation in a very awkward position. Now, that being said, you end up spending a lot of units every time you attack. Even if you win the fight, you did spend a lot of gas to win the fight. And that's one of the reasons why the Zerg ends up staying on this tech for a while. And you could see that after the attack was done, Innovation's still ahead in supply. And this is actually almost too many banelings to lose on the retreat.
Yeah, that's definitely a lot of damage done. Leenock overcommitting after chasing down some of those medevacs, but I like where Leenock is transitioning to. He lost his Mutas. He's going into Corruptors as is Anti-Air from here, continuing to upgrade his Ling Bane. But I don't see an Ultralisk Cavern yet, which he's definitely going to have to get into.
I think that he's going to be stuck in a weird position where he's transitioning tech, and I think Leenock already so aware of that is actually evacuating the drones. So he should lose this base to the left of our screen and the one above it.
Yeah.
Which is definitely bad here for Leenock.
Well,
it's great that he got the drones out, but this is an uncomfortable position for Zerg. I think Zerg might have to shift expanding down to the bottom center.
Yeah, you could be right about that. He does have that base set up. That was like his 5th base. That top left could be killed, but actually he's forcing Innovation to turn around. So still a chance that Leenock can get some drones to the top left here. But we need to see more tech. Oh my gosh, look at this. He's actually going into Greater Spire. I was not expecting this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually thought maybe he was going to do, when I saw the Corruptors and the fact that the push is already coming out, I don't think he can actually do anything but that.
Well, it's cool that he's going for that. It wasn't what I was expecting at all, but if he can make a good fat amount of Broodlords, like, let's say he has 10 Broods with Ling Bane under it, you can definitely fight against this army.
One thing to note, though, is that if he does go for the Broodlords, because his Zerg's so spread out, I really feel like there's positions where Innovation could just push where the Broodlords are not.
Yeah.
And there's not a very clear answer for what Leenock's supposed to do against that. So Innovation is looped back down. He's taking this expansion out. I think he's actually going to try to drive himself into the 2nd base here and start killing the tech, because then it's no longer a game of how many expansions Zerg has. Zerg has to hold one specific position, and it seems like Leenock is planning for a push into the 3rd, but I would not be surprised if Innovation dives in on the 2nd. We don't have, I'm sorry, there have been no Broodlords made yet, right?
He's making them right now.
Okay, they just started, excuse me.
He just killed the Evolution Chamber that was almost done, +3 carapace.
Yeah,
that
is
bad. Like, 3-3 is so crucial at this point. Innovation has had 3-3 for a while. Leenock has been working towards it. Look, that's his, oh my God. Okay, he gets the +3 melee, so at least he gets that, but that air pace upgrade's so important.
Okay, I think the Medivacs and the Thor are going to see the Broodlord speed made.
Yeah, the
and
Thor's...
this should actually trigger innovation to push somewhere. He can't just hold his ground here. Actually, you know what? Maybe you can, because there's almost no Broodlords with that army. I guess in reality, the number of Broodlings that are coming out don't really do that much. Big win here, though, for Leenock. However, the pressure is much more on him to try to deal with this and deal with him quickly.
The Broodlord's doing what they can. Lings and Banelings going under these Liberator zones, and it looks like he'll clean up this army just about, but has he taken too much damage?
Well, it's funny because, let's hear, Leenock's on 5 bases. I think he just reclaimed the one that's, yeah, this one right here. Ooh. That's now being attacked. But Innovation's just on 4 bases. The supplies are even. So kind of an odd situation that we have for this game around here is like the reset button has been hit. When the dust settles, it seems like they're just going to have to start macroing up again.
Yeah, I really want to see an Ultralisk Cavern. I know that Leenock doesn't have the biggest economy, but we see Innovation like hard countering Broodlords right now. He's adding 2 more Starports. He's continuing to make Thors. And, I mean, things like Vikings and Thors, well, they don't really fare that well against the Ultralisk. So I feel like that could be nice with these crazy melee upgrades that he has.
I think that's why the Ultralisk tech can be so strong, is after you force them to address air, you then reforce a Terran to address ground again. And, Terran units are a little bit trickier to try to throw away efficiently. If that, I know it sounds like a weird way to put it, but to try to come in here and have some of those units drop down so that your supply is reduced while still having an efficient trade.
Yeah.
Unless it's a drop.
Well, he's made a lot more broods. He did just get the Ultralisk Cavern as well, so we'll see if he can transition to that. This many broods, though, will force a ton of Vikings out of Innovation. So we could see like a brutal tech switch, but Leenock has to do something strong with this army first.
Dude, I will tell you, man, if he can actually push through here, Leenock can, yeah. He will also get the space just to the right of this. I think there may be, am I wrong? Are there too many Vikings?
There's a lot of Vikings, but he has a good amount of Corruptors here.
Yeah.
The Banelings detonating there.
Wait a minute, weird twist here. The Marines get underneath, so they win the fight instead. GG!
Wow.
That game ended a lot faster than I thought it was. I thought we had a good 5-10 more minutes there, but
yeah.
You know, when you lose that Corruptor Broodlord army, what do you really have after that?
Yeah, it was rough. Like, Leenock made a lot of good moves. I like strategically how he tried to play this game, but Innovation is so on top of things. Like, when Leenock lost those Banelings running away, Innovation kind of rotated down and just took out one of his mining bases, right? And he kept that pressure on. He got rid of that +3 carapace. That's kind of a big deal. He had enough Vikings when that big Broodlord push came. Leenock needed some value out of that to successfully transition with that low of an economy into Ultras.
We are going to a short break. When we come back, Zest versus Scarlett in day 1 of the round of 16 in the GSL Code S.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
Help me, I am submerged in the ocean's abyss. I gasp for breath as my lungs obey.
Well, I shoot like a cannonball. Well, I shoot like a cannonball. Yeah, I shoot like a cannonball. I'm missing my baby. Well, I shoot like a cannonball. Well, I shoot like a cannonball. shoot like a cannonball. Let her miss my baby. I should shoot like a cannonball, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. Shoot like a cannonball, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. Shoot like a cannonball, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. Shoot like a cannonball, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. Shoot like a cannonball. Shoot like a cannonball, yeah, shoot like a cannonball, miss my baby. Shoot like a cannonball, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. Shoot like a cannonball, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. Shoot like a cannonball, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. Shoot like a cannonball, fuck like an animal, breathe in your love through my lungs like an addict does. Whoa. Whoa. I wear my heart on my sleeve 'cause it's all that I know. We wear our hearts on our sleeve.
You kinda like to see me here when I'm freaking out. Or maybe I'm just freaking out. So tell me that I'm freaking out. But I don't wanna run around. I don't wanna run around and chase you. What have you
Live from Free Cup Studio in Seoul, this is the GSL.
What's up, guys? We're back here at the GSL Codas. An exciting match coming up here. Zest versus Scarlett. Scarlett has been killing it lately, winning the Intel Extreme Masters in Pyeongchang. What was that, like 3 days ago, 2 days ago?
Yeah, it was like 3 days ago, right? Like, it was today's Saturday, and that was Wednesday. So between there, I mean, God only knows how many days that is.
Nobody knows for sure.
It's probably
There's
2,
no
3.
way to possibly quantify that.
It's not a week because today would be Wednesday.
That's
and
right.
It's not.
Okay.
So it's less than
so
that.
we've narrowed it down to at least that. Zest also coming back from that tournament with, I think, in his opinion, lackluster results for what he wants to be achieving here. And now he has to overcome the most recent StarCraft 2 champion, Scarlett, also being aware that innovation is lurking in this group in the winner's match.
Yeah, it's not an easy group for him to get out of, and it's funny, right? Because chooses Scarlett to play against. You know, probably thinking, okay, you know what? Like, this is doable. She's good, but I can beat her. And then, like, 3 days ago, Tasteless, his world was rocked. He's like, uh-oh. And she just smashed SOS.
And here's the thing. If you can beat SOS, you can beat Zest.
Yeah, you can beat anybody.
Doesn't mean that she's going to win guaranteed 100%, but definitely if you can beat SOS in a finals, I think you're going to be okay against another Protoss, even the one as good as Zest.
Yeah, and you know what? Let's not forget here, like, they both got to see each other play this matchup down there. Okay, so he got to see a good 5 games of Scarlett, which was mostly aggression against SOS, so that's kind of valuable, you know. He knows the type of ways that she'll be aggressive in. And then, of course, she got to see a laser take down Zest. And that was a 3-1 as well, right? So, and in fact, Zest played Stefanos. That's a lot of games to study, to be honest.
Very true.
Kind of wanted to look. And the thing is, Zest does have a very specific style. He likes to open up with Stargate. He likes to follow with Archon's charge. But that's kind of standard for the matchup. But this is good info for Scarlett to have on him.
We now move on to the map, Neon Violet Square, in this best of 3. You cannot forget, it cannot be emphasized enough that innovation is floating in the winner's match. Leenock, by the way, looked pretty good. So he's no joke either in the loser's match. It's a tough group overall. Anyways, game number 1, Zest for Scarlett.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak. Zest.
Be opening this up on Neon Violet Square. It's a fun one. I like this map quite a bit, to be honest. The more we see it, the more we play it.
Team Expert, Scarlett.
An interesting story we have in front of us here is Zest was somebody who rose to the very, very top of StarCraft 2, and I basically fell off right before winning a championship at BlizzCon. Remember, everybody was saying he was the favorite. This was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And then unable to deliver really since then, which is, you know, something very difficult for a professional gamer to go through, where you are perceived as the best, and we don't know when that's going to stop. And then it, in fact, does stop, where it's Scarlett just now winning an Intel Extreme Masters is riding that high, but also feeling that pressure, too. You don't want to become the greatest in the whole world only to fade out, you know, a month later. And Scarlett has said in previous interviews before that this tournament, the GSL Code S, is very important for her, and she is interested in advancing to the round of 8. And of course, Zest is someone who wants to reclaim that mantle of being the most respected Protoss in the world, but really for him right now, one of the only ways he can do that is to advance further and further in the very same tournament.
You know, I was kind of looking going into IM as maybe this is Zest's comeback story. A lot of Scarlett fans here today, and rightfully so. But
yeah, I can't say I'm surprised.
You know, it's so true. You know, we saw that video, that beautifully narrated video about Zest in, you know, at IM, and like, he was so good. And the thing is, he's still so good. Like, if you watch his stream, especially last year where he had almost no results, like, I mean, he did well a little bit here and there, but like, he was the number 1 and 2 Protoss on the ladder for most of the year last year. You know, he's still showing great games, but unable to deliver a lot of the time. And it's kind of weird at this point. He says he's practicing so hard. Here he is, Oh, if he doesn't get to the round of 8, he's going to view this as a huge failure. I am Pyeongchang, and then GSL Code S, and he can't advance. That would be a heartbreaker for him.
Also, an interesting point to be made is that, for a lot of Korean players, a tournament where there are less Koreans is the desirable one, because it should be one where it's easier to come out higher up or even win. But I think the landscape of who's dominant where is slowly shifting, and that's not to say that the Koreans are becoming not as good. It's that the non-Korean players, I think, are catching up a little bit.
You are completely correct on this, and I'm not just saying this because there's some Blizzard people in the audience, but people gave a lot of trash talk to Blizzard when WCS came up and got all these changes. But the non-Korean scene is so strong at this point.
Yeah.
It's really, like, you look at it, it's like, yeah, I mean, Laser beat Zest and Scarlett beat SOS, and, we see Special get round of 4, 3 consecutive tournaments. It's like,
yeah,
okay, well, these top non-Korean players have truly hit this gigantic level.
We see now an attempted bust over there, but Zest is in too much of a good position and does hold that. And what you were saying can't be emphasized enough, Artosis, is that a lot of these players, when they saw them come out here and they were going to get a house together, I thought, well, this should be all that you really need is that and time.
Yeah. Well, look at this. Scarlett is turning on some massive aggression. She made the Oracle turn on twice there, so it's very low on energy. And now the Oracles fly past the army. This is brutal. I think Zest is about to die.
Yeah, well, especially with that bile connecting now.
Yeah.
And the entrance being cracked open here. Corrosive biles raining down. There's only one pylon powering this location.
Oh my gosh, as that pylon goes
That's
down,
it, right?
Not even really targeting that right now, but yeah, I mean, Scarlett just executing this rush. The flying units, where are they? They're coming back, but I mean, if these were here, maybe Zest holds this, but coming in this late, this is too much damage.
I think this is just way too much damage, and Scarlett's not slowing down, only making Zerglings now, so it's harder for all these units to be picked off, especially when they're spread out, since the Lings are, in fact, more mobile than the Oracles. And you can see now the probes are undefended. Already 25 have been taken out.
Well, I guess that's it. 4 Oracles sitting here cleaning up units, but as you run in more units, they run out of energy.
That's it. GG! Scarlett takes game 1.
Wow. A strong kill right there.
Okay.
She did a great job with those Lings running up back and forth. Like, that's very technical. You make it seem like the Lings are going all the way away. The Oracle shuts off as to not waste energy, but every turn on is worth a lot. And then where Zest Oracles were, he's like, okay, I'm going to send these for harassment. Just barely missed the incoming Roaches, Ravagers, and Lings.
I got to say, man, that was very impressive. I want to emphasize what you just said a second ago, because it's so important. Milking out the energy from the Oracles and making it look like you're trying to do a small harass, when in fact the real punch is coming right when you need to defend the most. And because that is a defense from Zest that requires energy and energy alone to pull it off, she completely caught Zest off guard, and Zest crumbled. Another game we've seen at StarCraft 2 where one player eliminates the other before the other player really gets to show the strategy that he had planned.
Yeah. It's this is how Scarlett has been mixing up recently. She's normally known as a top-end macro Zerg, but her rushes have become a thing of beauty. They just slaughtering Zest there. A lot of those games against SOS were kind of like this. Not specifically this build, but very aggressive early game pressure.
We now go to game number 2 on the map Catalyst.
GSL Season 1.
Zest for Scarlett.
Daybreak. Zest.
You know, Artosis, I know it was just one game back there, but I do want to point out that win looked a lot like the win, the victories that we saw with Scarlett versus SOS.
Yeah.
Short and sweet. Protoss was just not ready.
Team expert, Scarlett.
Well, we might have to see Zest play a bit more defensively there. Obviously, making oracles can be amazingly used defensively against that, right? You have to bank energy a little bit. You can't be turning your oracle on twice. I'm like 99% sure he turned his oracle on twice there, and that is...
No, you're correct. It was 2 times that the oracles were being used, and not always were they firing.
Yeah.
The Lynx came in, did a little bit of damage, enough to make it look like Scarlett was being a little bit too greedy,
if you're not,
and then she ran out.
And if you're not right on top of those Lynx, eggs out in the audience. Of our young, up-and-coming StarCraft 2 pros. But, look, if you're not right on top of those Lynx as they run away and you have your oracle on, you've got to turn it off. Because they won't come back, you know?
Yeah.
They're not going to just run under an oracle again. And then if you have to turn that on again because you only have 1 adept in that wall, that's a painful situation.
You basically have a really stellar defense, but the defense is an iPhone with 5% battery. And if you don't use that correctly, then you don't have
you got to turn off
anymore.
Your location services
That's
and
right.
your Bluetooth.
Put it on airplane mode.
Yeah.
Make sure that Facebook app isn't on because that takes up way too much battery as well.
Certainly. In fact, delete that off your phone. It's a time waster.
There's no point in using social media anymore. But yeah, in all seriousness, that's what she did. She made it so that there was no battery essentially there. In this case, the energy on the oracles to actually defend that. Now, I don't know what game number 2 is going to look like. I think that is a pretty scary game number 1, considering Zest is, of course, more than aware of how Scarlett won against SOS, that she's able to do it in a similar fashion. It's not the same strategy, but it's the same concept. It's a very aggressive bust on a Protoss who's trying to play an economy game.
And you know what's interesting about this Tasteless, though, is I feel like he was prepared. And that might sound stupid because he just got wrecked, but he was making multiple oracles. And if you make multiple oracles, these rushes really don't have the same efficacy, right? He has a quick Phoenix that'll knock out any dropping overlords, which is what she used a lot against SOS.
Right.
And then he made multiple oracles. In fact, he had 4 oracles there at the end. But it looked to me like he was going to make 3 almost no matter what. And if he had seen that coming, it doesn't really do anything. You can make a building wall, you can make some shield batteries, you can utilize your oracles and your Phoenix, and you can whittle down that push and, you know, not lose all your probes. You can continue to make some units there, take another base. Now, I don't know if Zest will continue to do this, multiple oracle play, but I'm just saying, like, it seems like he was prepared for Scarlett and then just kind of messed it up a little bit. So I'm not looking at that first game and saying that Scarlett's just going to 2-0 him. You know?
No, in fact, I think even if she won this, I would expect it to be a 2-1. But I've got my eyes on anything that happens early game in this series because that's what Scarlett's shown that she's very strong at. So we have the Phoenix coming through here now. Try to monitor the tech and the positioning here of the Zerg.
And the Phoenix first, of course, you know, that knocks out any Zergling drops, which, again, used so heavily against SOS, Scarlett did.
And it's also great to just take out 1 or 2 overlords on the map. I mean, then the Phoenix is basically already paid for itself, and Phoenix has utility throughout a game, as does an Oracle. That's why we see so many Protoss players actually go for a Stargate early on, is that the units usually pay for themselves. Zerg doesn't have a simple way to protect against them moving around the map.
Yeah.
So you can usually get a good read, and of course you can threaten the workers. And then later on, you can tag the army. Let's say it's a bunch of lurkers or a big Roach Ravager army. You could tag it. You can at least know where it's coming from. And since positioning is so important for Protoss, that helps out a lot since you can try to preempt the moves they're going to try to take on the map to punish you.
By the way, a 3rd Oracle came out, a 4th Oracle on the way. So Zest has changed his style. This is an older style from before the Nuracle.
The Nuracle.
Yeah, well, it is a Nuracle now because it's a nerfed Oracle. But
the Nuracle sounds like an Oracle nerd that can predict all the GSL wins.
Like, truthfully, the nerf was really against Terran, right? Not as much against Zerg. Technically, it is still a nerf against Zerg, but 3 Oracles flying in. This could be some serious damage.
Okay, good control here by Zest. No Oracles have been picked up. The Phoenix remains in the game. I think actually he might get pinned though. All right, so once Phoenix is hit, this is a risk that Protoss can end up taking when they try to fly up through the main, since there is a limit to the distance you can fly north on the map. But actually, I think with this play, this really, in some ways, completely paying for itself and making it much worthwhile. 12 drones picked off.
Even with a bit of missed micro there, we saw that they were attacking the Spore just for a moment. You could have gotten a couple more drones there. But look, these Oracles showing that this strategy maybe not 100% dead, but the creep spread has been very straightforward going south here. And queens are starting to roam about the map. We see 3 more queens on the way, so this is going to be a massive Queen Roach Ravager attack from Scarlett, against which Oracles are not as powerful.
And this is all being telegraphed with the movement of Scarlett on the map. The fact that creep is being pushed out aggressively, the fact that there's such a high number of queens. Now, one answer that Zest might have to this is that he's not just going for Immortals, but doing that out of 2 Robo Bays. So, you know, Immortals are usually the backbone of every fight for Protoss.
Yeah.
If you watch and see, are the Immortals, now I'm doing it.
Immortals?
What's an Immortal? If the Immortals are doing enough damage and they're not being picked off, usually the Protoss wins the fight.
That was pretty significant force fields right there, picking off a decent chunk of army that really did no damage to Zest. He's warping in some of these shield batteries over here. A big army here from Scarlett. Can Zest actually hold on? I think that the Nexus living is a pipe dream.
Yeah.
But the thing is, this is a good defensive posture from Zest at the same time.
Well, once the Nexus is picked off, it's going to give a much bigger berth for the army to try to move through. And, well, hold on. I mean, did Zest actually overextend? A lot of this just comes down to the force fields being planted. But the Oracle's over here doing a great job actually going to trap some of that army.
Oh, that is gigantic right there. That is going to turn the tide, I think. Zest with 4 Immortals still sitting here. High health.
Well, Scarlett's continuing to make Zerglings that come in here from behind. And when these Roaches are done, well, actually, I'm sorry, there's no more Zerglings here, so the Immortals should just kill everything, unless I'm mistaken.
Yeah, you would think so at this point. And that is what's happening. These Immortals going to be able to clean up the rest of everything. Now, Zest did lose his 3rd base. That is important. Right. He did lose an Immortal and about 5 or 6 sentries in there. So these are not nothing that he lost, but I tell you, if that Stasis Ward hadn't gone off, he was going to lose a hell of a lot more right there.
It seems like it seems as though Zest actually wants to punch back here. There's a Warp Prism coming up with the 2 Oracles still remaining, especially if those are comboed in with the fight. Maybe Zest can actually come back and try to wipe out this 4th base. Interesting game here. I wonder how this would have looked had that Oracle trap not gone off. It's because that's a tough one. Like, Zerg can't really move out of it easily. I mean, I think that's just a tough one.
Well,
you know,
it is tough because the queens are there. You have to stay and fight. But, like, that many units frozen for that long, I think that Zest still holds there, but has almost nothing left over. Whereas here, he had like 5 Immortals left.
Well, here's the thing is that I think Hydras are not bad against Immortals, but I don't think there's going to be enough of them. I think there are, in fact, more Immortals than there are Hydras in this game right now. So this may actually be a knockout blow here, and we will be going to game number 3.
I think you're right about that. Well, I mean, Zest defended well and knocks out this 3rd base. Scarlett in a lot of trouble right now, trying to remove some of these rocks, trying to get back into a decent position.
The nature of an attack like that from Scarlett is that you are very exposed if it doesn't work out. So we see Zest coming forward now. And unless I'm mistaken, I don't think you can really stop this. I think this just continues to push forward here. The force field's all quite good. The Warp Prism in a very safe position. In fact, no more Ravagers to try to snipe that down with Corrosive Bile.
One of the most valuable Guardian shields I've ever seen right there.
Right.
I can't believe he didn't lose that sentry, but really well done by Zest here. Scarlett once again trying to turn on some aggression. But Zest with a solid hold in such a solid counterattack. I love the Stalker Warp-ins. The fact that he was able to keep so many Immortals alive was key, of course. Yeah, I mean, this was cool. And let's not forget, 2 games in a row now. Good 4 Oracle openings by Zest. So he's on top of this cheese up. I think this is where Scarlett has to change completely what she's doing. She should not be going for these early aggressive moves because 4 Oracles really is good against him. The push he just did is okay against that, but he had the follow-up of the Immortals, of the Sentries, and especially on this next map, Ascension to Iron, are a huge map.
He had all the tools necessary, and he did dismantle Scarlett in that game. I do have to wonder, would those results have been different if 12 drones had not been picked off? Maybe, because you don't have as much of an engine behind you when you lose that many workers to try to do the push. But even then, I think that attack from Scarlett was maybe a little bit too, I don't want to say milquetoast, but I mean, that's an attack we've seen before. I think a lot of the other aggressive plays she's done have been a little bit more methodical. let's see what happens now in game number 3.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak. Zest.
I do wonder if neither player tries to give the other one a black eye in the first few minutes of the game. What does an actual long game look like between these two?
Yeah.
Is Scarlett actually better than Zest in a macro game? I mean, that is a tough one to call.
Oh,
Team
yeah.
expert, Scarlett.
It certainly is. She's been playing very aggressively recently. And here's the thing. Ascension to Ire is one of these maps where you can get a very long game on it. It's not particularly easy to kill your opponent. You know, sure, you can hit some of these early rushes and all that, but overall, if you kind of live through the early game, it's pretty easy to get up, relatively speaking, of course. 99% of players in the world can't do that against these two, but for a pro gamer to get up to, 4 bases, 5 bases on this map, get that full tech tree out. But again, what I want to see from Scarlett here, and this is a hard one, right, because she came in very aggressive, she's been playing aggressively, it's been working out. If Zest opens 4 Oracles twice in a row, don't rush him. Making that many Oracles, man, things like Roaches, Ravagers, Lings, you're putting a lot of money into something that is not necessarily going to work out and do anything.
I agree with you, but just to play devil's advocate for a second, I would also say that maybe Scarlett has got enough intel on how he moves those Oracles and where he wants them to go versus where he can be punished that maybe she's got another plan. But I'm really hoping overall that we actually see just a macro game from these two.
Yeah.
Because I think they've both been punished enough early on. And, normally if you're going to get to a GSL Code S finals, you're handling yourself by being dynamic in a best of 3 and a best of 5. And if you get that far, a best of 7.
Well, from Zest's side, he doesn't mix things up as much as some players do. I think he just kind of relies on his overall skill set, which is immaculate in like every area. One of those, what is it, a pentagram chart that you fill out. He's like, he fills up the whole thing. We're just like, why is there just like a blue pentagram here? It's like, well, those are Zest skills. He's full on all of them.
Yeah, he's maxed out his stats.
Yeah.
We got to wait for the next expansion where you can keep grinding and leveling up.
Yeah, I think that he looked at this group. He looked at the way Scarlett has been playing recently, and he looked at what he's been losing to, and he looked at Leenock as the other player and just said, you know what? If I make Phoenix to stop drop overlords and then I just make multiple Oracles, I'm not going to die to anything. I think that he looks at game 1 as a fluke. He barely didn't see those units incoming. It was bad pathing on his part on those Oracles. But yeah, I think he's probably looking at this and saying, no problem. I'm just going to stay with this build order.
Zergling Ling Ling's speed is just now finished up. And from here, it's going to be Zest who has to be cautious on the map with ground units. Even though you can outmaneuver Speedlings, if you make one mistake, usually the Adept is picked off. And again, Zest following, at least with openings, a similar pattern. Yeah. Phoenix first into several Oracles, continuing to move out on the map. And it's Scarlett powering up onto a 3rd base. And we see no other Lings. I think there's only 2 more Zerglings in this game right now, as Scarlett is completely gone into droning, which means that, at least for the time being, it does appear that Scarlett wants to steer this game into one where they're both powering up and having bigger armies.
Still great anti-air defense. Multiple queens at every base, getting those spores up in time, no problem. Will she go for that Roach Warren? If she skips it, I'm loving it, man. I feel like these two are so smart, such good players at this point. Okay, the Roach Warren is coming up. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad or anything, but if she goes aggressive with this, things could go south.
So the Oracles are skirting around the edges of the territory of Scarlett here. As we're waiting to see if any actual damage is going to be dealt. Zest is now taking a 3rd base, those Adepts in a position where they can be kind of wedged in there and not easily surrounded by Lings. And if the Zerg was to make a bunch of Lings, which in this case she is not going to do that, they would be shaved down by the Oracle. So both players pretty safe. And here's what we were looking for. How many worker kills can Zest get? And, even though that was only 2, the fact of the matter is that that one Oracle that was shot at wasn't killed, so everything's still fine here for Zest. And it's the double robo again.
Yeah, that's really cool to see that he's going double robo here as well. There are some roaches on the way. This is kind of the new meta in this matchup. So many Protosses have been going for charge Archon-type plays, very aggressive plays after the Stargate openings. And you see this kind of reflected in these build orders, but does she get aggressive with it? It really doesn't look like it right now. Hydralisk Den on the way, more drones on the way, Evolution Chamber on the way. This is all pointing towards a macro play.
And so we are getting the game that we had hoped for here. With Zest third base now up. And particularly with the double robo, it makes the Protoss army really scary to try to fight.
Yeah.
So Scarlett is going to try to. Oh, yes, she gets it up. take a fourth base.
Yep.
Zest had his screen over those oracles because that's why they were there, was to try to find a drone and kill it.
Yep.
Then she would have gotten her fourth base up a little bit later, but the game does go on now.
Still some decent harassment coming out with these oracles. Loving this play.
Pretty good
Such a
pulls.
great metagame shift by Zest here. I feel like the ladder is going to be different tomorrow.
It will be.
It seems like he's correctly adjusted to the way Zergs have been playing a little bit more recently.
The ladder will also not be different in the sense that somebody did some crazy cheese we haven't seen before. And if you didn't watch GSL before you laddered, you would not know what's going on, as everybody's doing the same cheese over and over.
Oh my God, it's so true. Occasionally I'll hit someone on the ladder, I'll do a cheese I saw in GSL the night before. And I once had a Terran guy go to me, he goes, "Why is every Protoss doing this today?" after I killed him. I was like, "Oh, like Hero did this last night." He's like, "Ah!"
It's so funny how that could happen, though, man. It's so true.
You know, big tournament's on, that's what happens.
There might have been a strategy that only a dozen people were doing, but the moment it's on TV, everybody's like, "Oh, I see it now. That looks pretty strong."
So true. A lot of Hydras being made, a Lurker Den on the way, even the Infestation Pit on the way, so that's kind of cool.
Very good job here by Zest and Scarlett. Zest just trying to get wherever the drones are being transferred, looking for any holes. It does take out two drones. I mean, it's 3 oracles total, right? We did not go up to 4.
I believe he stayed on 3 this time.
I don't think there was one picked up.
Yeah. I believe you're right on that.
So Scarlett's now on to 5 bases. The Psionic Storm's not done yet. I don't think we're going to see a push come out here for Zest, especially with Storm on the way. It just seems like it would be a bad timing here when you would have so much more damage that you could output once Psystorm is done.
This game is being so immaculately played on both sides.
It really is.
I want to pause the game and talk about it for like 10 minutes, the things that they're doing. Like we see the double observers in the center watching the actual paths things come up on. We see the 3 oracles. They didn't do that much harassment damage, but they have been tagging things. They've been checking the tech. They've been checking the army. And Zest just taking that 4th base, realizing, oh, okay, this is the type of game that we're in, right? And sure, Scarlett's still walking around with a kind of scary army, but Zest preparing for absolutely everything, going up to the fleet beacon, getting his Psystorm. Like I'm getting chills. Both sides are playing this game so well right now. Like both are playing right on the edge of greed.
So things are continuing to mount up. Scarlett nearing a maxed out supply. Zest, and this is actually completely natural, the supply that he's at right now. He's getting close to about 150. And Scarlett going with the Lurker tech. Now, I don't know if she really wants to push in with the Lurkers, especially to the front, if it's this many Immortals. Unless she gets like a really good angle. I actually think it's kind of an odd game where I think Scarlett wants to try to get a better position and absorb Zest's army. As Zest is now on a 4th base. And I mean, when you're in a Zerg versus Protoss where Zerg's on 5 bases, the Protoss is on 4, we're getting to the point where the crazy tech happens, and that's this right here, the carriers coming up.
Well, against Lurkers, this can be a fantastic play.
Sure.
And she's committing pretty well to Lurkers. A decent amount of Lurkers coming out, getting those digging claws or whatever the other name is of it right now. As we see, adaptive talons, of course, that's it. But yeah, like the carriers are a very good counter to that. But look at this 5-7 drop Overlords on the way for Scarlett. Another new shift that we've seen. By the way, we are 10 minutes into a Legacy of the Void, Protoss versus Zerg, and there hasn't been a Warp Prism.
I know.
Take that. think about that for a moment. Look at how dynamic a game this is. That two top-of-the-world players, there's not a War Prism.
We have a push over here at the front. Now, we did see some drop overlords being made here. This is a strategy that was usually used a lot more in Brood War since drops were a little bit easier for Zerg to get, but doing a big drop into the main. Am I crazy? Those are drop overlords being made somewhere.
Yeah,
am I
yeah. Okay, there's drop overlords.
I don't know where they are right now, okay?
They are, though.
They're there. They're out there.
Man.
So the fact that these drop overlords are being made means Scarlett might try to drop into the main, which could be very, very punishing. And actually, I think this is a mistake to send these carriers down here. Don't these interceptors just die? I think we're going to have that drop now as Scarlett. Hold up, here we go. Big attack coming up here, and a lot of Storm just draining away the hit points there.
Yeah.
Oh, my eyes.
The kind of a fake drop gone wrong maybe there by Scarlett, but Scarlett's still trying to hit multiple locations. The carrier's not doing a whole lot yet, and in fact, Scarlett adding double Spire, knowing that she is going to have to transition because it doesn't seem like she's going to get any real damage done here against Zest and his 4 bases.
So this is really a game where the map control is going to Scarlett, but if she overextends one too many times, it's going to trigger a counter push here from Zest. But Scarlett needs to be a bit conservative, I think, from here on out with their armies.
Oh my god, we didn't see it? But I think those initial 2 carriers that went down, they lost their interceptors, kept going and died to the Hydras.
Oh, did they?
Because there's only 2 carriers out right now, and we just saw them fly out of the starports.
That's a big reset button for the late game tech for Zest.
That's huge.
But again, if Scarlett could stay conservative and then pick the right fight and switch techs, that's usually how Zerg wins in the late game. So you can see she moves out like this, but it's almost feigning pressure. I don't believe that she's ever actually going to commit in and try to attack this, because I think that'd be futile, really.
Yeah, I think you're basically right about that. Like, she's poking and seeing if something can go wrong. You know, if you accidentally attack into some lurkers, things can go very poorly for Protoss very quickly. But Zest is being careful. He's done some great scouting. Looks like he loses another Oracle there.
Was that the last Oracle? Because they're usually moving together in a group.
I think there's one more, but I think he split them now.
Ooh. Gets that Templar too. Zest is actually hemorrhaging maybe too many units here.
By the way, that moment showing why the Templar attack ad was a nerf. That thing would not have walked forward if it didn't have an attack.
So, the fact that the carriers can't build up means the Hydras still get to basically hold this position. They're like little minigun siege tanks that can hit air. And that means that every time these interceptors come out, I think Zest is making some mistakes by sending interceptors out at all. You need to have all of them ready, and you have to know that you're going to win the fight, because otherwise everything just dies. And I'm not sure if this is a control issue or an execution, or it's just a knowledge issue about what you can and cannot engage into. Because you see, look at it, it's happening again. And that means they're just going back and remaking.
Well, Scarlett almost has like 3-3 here on these units, so that's like really neat. Also getting 1-1 on her Spires, making some Corruptors here.
It's worth noting that the 5th base for Zest is being taken. So this is getting pretty wild. Now look at this drop that's going to happen in the main. That's all Hydras, right?
That's all Hydras.
So the carriers can't really go back. Immortals, those are not fast.
Well, we might have to just recall in. There should be energy for that, I would imagine.
That's true, but then I think Zest can be punished elsewhere.
Well, the Corruptors here are really going to help out a lot. The Side Storms from the low ground, very nice moves by Zest.
At this point in time, Scarlett, for a second there, was winning on both fronts. Now the carriers have been pulled back. I don't see any other attack occurring just yet up here.
Oh, good pullback by Zest. I'm surprised that one carrier didn't get picked off. More Corruptors coming in, though. 2 carriers falling here.
Okay, good targeting here by Scarlett. It's now, I think that's 3 carriers total. Although it's possible there's more that are going to come out here. Kind of a game of cat and mouse here, back and forth. And we've had 5 carriers killed off so far. Very good play here by Scarlett.
Yeah, I'm actually continually getting kind of chills during this game, because looking at this game, this is one of the most dynamic, coolest PvZs I have seen in so long.
Oh, this is sick.
Look at this. She's even utilizing her Corruptors right now.
Okay, this is funny, because I feel like we don't see this enough in pro games, but it's happening more and more. And the fact that this base was never, I think, adequately defended as the pro transfer happens.
That's huge. And now the Corruptors get out for free. What great usage. And look at this. As Zest is going for the counter, Scarlett attacking into the 4th base. Oh, but the Side Storms are totally ready.
Okay, I actually don't think Scarlett's going to have enough to defend this attack over here.
Well, she's going to wipe out the carriers in 2 seconds with that many Corruptors. But yeah, the ground army could be an issue.
Okay, the carriers are actually pulled back. Good move there. the Corruptors are meaningless against
God.
a ground army. We see Templars being picked up. I still want to catch this push here by Zest that's down here at the 6th base.
Where is the anti-air here? Once these Corruptors kill that, they could actually possibly kill the Nexus even. This ground counterattack, though, definitely has some potential.
We have already another Spire being remade, so we may have 3 Spires in this game. Scarlett definitely playing a safe round here. Again, though, these Immortals that have been built. Wait, hold on. Is he just going to do it again?
Yeah, look at that. This can happen. There's only a few Stalkers here, but Zest knew things like this could happen. Got Blink for his Stalkers, but can't stop him in time.
That's so sick. We might see that happen a couple more times in this game. And Scarlett's switched back into mass Hydras. And, of course, what is the real muscle in Protoss's army? I think besides Templars, it's just those Immortals, which are not great. Against Hydras for sure.
Well, there's a lot of Void Rays that have been created at this point. There has to be a good 5-6 Void Rays, maybe even more out. Some good amount of Side Storms, a lot of Immortals still out here.
It's an awkward moment here. Do you really want to storm that? I don't think so.
This is getting kind of funny. I'm almost thinking that we definitely need to see a Greater Spire off that 3rd Spire.
I agree.
Broodlords might actually be the weapon of the day at some point here. Like, yeah, Void Rays can kill them, but there's a lot of Corruptors and a lot of Hydras out as well.
Is he going to do it again?
Oh, my God.
Here we go. Scarlett now. She's actually going to try to take out another Nexus, and then these Corruptors coming in over here again.
Dude, a cannon does not stop moves like this. That damage ramps up crazily. Look at this, these Stalkers.
This is looking so funny.
Oh my God, just every Nexus being picked off over and over, but this army is serious.
It's important that Scarlett holds off this attack. If she doesn't, it doesn't really matter about the Nexuses over there, but a good position here.
Oh.
Okay, there are 2 Observers. They're far back. These Hydras can snipe those.
Those Lurkers just dealing ludicrous amounts of damage right now.
But she's going to win this fight pretty handedly. We see that it's now going into 20 more Hydras being made.
That is a lot of Hydras.
But check this out. I think the Corruptors just gunned down everything, and then it's a ground army.
It's a lot of Void Rays in here. You turn on those Void Rays, you get the Archons underneath. Maybe it goes the other way. Great micro by Scarlett, though. Look at this kiting right now with those Corruptors. Side Storms all over those Hydras. Oh, taking a ton of damage.
Scarlett's been bunched up to just the right side of the map. There isn't a 5th base just south of here, but it's not being mined from. It's not being defended. Corruptors trying to loop around. And actually, this angle could be quite good depending on how the Psionic Storms pair with the Hydras.
Oh man, those Void Rays fighting against these Corruptors very well. They're going to clean those up pretty easily. Some charge lots come in.
Oh my God, there's too many Hydras. Too many Hydras here for Scarlett. These Void Rays are not fast, certainly not against Hydras on creep.
The Void Rays being picked off so easily once they go into their siege mode, and that's it.
Zest is at 86 supply, while Scarlett's at 165. Zest scrambling to try to get Zealots out here now, but there are Lurkers inbound.
Wow.
That's it, GG!
Scarlett advancing to the winner's match to go up against Innovation. I tell you what, that series was really sick. So well played on both sides. Tasteless, am I a bad person for hoping Innovation gets out first so I can see Zest Scarlett again?
The answer is yes, Artosis. You're a horrible human being for wanting Innovation. Yes. Look, Zest obviously frustrated with that game, but I gotta say, man, Scarlett really showed that whether it's an aggro game or a long, drawn-out strategic macro game, she is the full picture.
The amount of tactics that we saw used there no longer is PvZ, this weird turtle fest where just carriers get masked and then we have one big spellcaster battle. Nuh-uh. All over the place, both of them there. A wonderful game 3. Next, we're going to have Innovation against Scarlett for the first player in the round of 8.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
Ready to roll, ready or not, ready to give it all I've got. Gotta live to win, get up, get even. Ready to roll, ready or not, ready to give it one more shot. Let the game begin, need something to believe in. Ready to roll.
아프리카 TV에는 당신이 아는 것보다 다양한 인정이 살고 있죠. 말 많은 인정, 발 빠른 인정, 잘 먹는 인정, 영리한 인정, 친절한 인정까지. 모든 게 컨텐츠가 되고 누구나 주인공이 되는 세상. 알고 보면 멋진 세상.
Are you free? 아프리카 TV. 신혼침대는 좋은 거 사야지. 결혼한 친구들한테 물어도 보고 후기까지 다 챙겨봐야 돼. 근데 보다 보면 어차피 침대는 가구가 아니다. 침대는 에이스다. 에이스 침대.
나는 간다. 대한민국을 대표해. 우리 지구를 대표해. 가장 큰 할인 혜택을 가지고.
혜택의 스케일이 다르다. 여기요.
여기요.
가구 보는 눈은 서로 다를 수 있죠. 근데 침대 보는 눈은 같을걸요? 어차피 누워보면 몸이 아니까. 침대는 가구가 아니다. 침대는 에이스다. 에이스 침대.
여기요.
와, 근데 할인 혜택이 엄청난데요? 첫 주문 할인 3,000원, 인기 프랜차이즈 할인 2,000원, 타임 할인 15% 2,470원, 결제 할인 3,000원까지 해서 부대찌개 2인 세트에 3,430원입니다.
오, really? 혜택의 스케일이 다르다. 여기요.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
We're finally here at the winners match of the GSL Code S. Day 1 in the round of 16. Innovation versus Scarlett.
Yeah.
Wow, this is crazy.
These two have played previously in GSL, and it was a good series. This one could be good as well. Scarlett is just showing such a range of play. She's so strong right now. But on the other hand, Innovation has known his group for a while. He didn't go to Pyeongchang. He wasn't busy doing interviews and taking buses and sleeping in a hotel and all these things, right? It's funny, when StarCraft players go to tournaments, that's when they play the least StarCraft.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but it's true. All that time commuting. Maybe Innovation's had a little bit more time to prep. I am really excited to see Scarlett's ZVT because she went through some very tough Zerg opponents in the Intel Extreme Masters and then closed it out beating one of the greatest Protoss players of all time in all of StarCraft. But now it's against a Terran, so I guess we're going to find out how truly well-rounded Scarlett is. And this is the hardest Terran you could ask to go up against. Innovation.
Yeah.
So
it's Innovation, guys.
I'm
What else
actually,
can you say?
if I had to pick somebody, I still think maybe Innovation takes this, but that would be so awesome if Scarlett managed to win here.
I do lean towards Innovation, but we will see. Scarlett is a monster in this matchup, no doubt about that. Her ZVZ and ZVP is what she mostly used recently here. Obviously, we did see that match against Time, but the thing is, her ZVT has always been fantastic. A lot of her early matches that she's remembered for are her ZVT, so I think it's going to be a good one, no doubt. Catalyst, Neon Violet Square, and then GSL Darkness Sanctuary.
Remember, the loser of this best of 3 is not eliminated from Group A. That individual will then just go down to our fifth best of 3 and take on either Zest or Leenock. But both these players obviously hungry to get out of this group as quickly as possible.
This is going to be a good one, Tasteless. Someone's going to the round of 8. Wow!
I can't wait. Our first player for the round of 8. A very sought-after position in the GSL, as that's where the tournament dynamic shifts from groups to then full best of 5s.
Yeah, it's a really big difference.
Yeah.
And, I mean, round of 16 is super exciting, but round of 8 is like, that's where the killer matches are. You have a long time to prepare for a big match against one opponent, and we see all the stops taken out.
Our game is now loaded up. Innovation versus Scarlett to fight for that first spot in the round of 8.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak. Innovation.
She's cheesing Tasteless.
Guys, Innovation's gonna get rushed. You don't believe us? Take a look at this.
Indeed. Well said.
Team expert, Scarlett.
Oh man, I'm excited. Which rush will this be?
I have to say that this is not just a rush, this is a rush.
Oh.
I think Innovation might be expecting some kind of aggression early on, especially if he's been studying some of Scarlett's games, but this is, the action's going to pick up even faster than most of the aggro games we've seen from Scarlett. So let's see how this pans out. Link speed on the way, 6 Zerglings being made. Ooh, great artwork there. I'm also curious to see where the Reaper is going to go.
Well, that is such an important thing, right?
And there's a second one being made.
Moves like this absolutely can force a cancel on that third base. Sometimes they can get inside and do some really significant damage. The Reapers across the map when they hit. Oh, man.
I'm sorry, that's the first Reaper. I got ahead of myself there.
Yeah.
So that's going to come out. And, it's tricky because Terran wants to get over there and scout, but that's what she's going to punish here.
Mm-hmm. Now look at this. There is a Marine being followed up here, a factory on the way. So that reactor is going to be a little bit later, but there will be a Marine out.
I'm assuming this rush activates when this
she sees the
Link speed
Reaper.
finishes.
Here we go. Oh my God. Goodbye, Marine.
See you in Marine Hell.
Insta cancel there at the command center.
And the reactor's being attacked. The reactor is going to go down. There's 6 more links being made.
Yeah, and look at this. Innovation immediately starting a tech lab there. It builds faster. This is a very smart move, but
doesn't matter.
Scarlett surrounds it. He has to keep starting it, though, because if all these lings get in, that's about it.
Okay. Oh, links at the bottom to try to trap. He goes back up.
Look at this micro by Innovation. It is fantastic.
Are there too many SCVs, though?
Oh.
And from here, Scarlett appears to be making drones. There are still a few more lings inbound.
That add-on just keeps getting restarted here. So Innovation, his crisis management is fantastic, but not enough for the damage output of these Zerglings. Going after the SCVs, already 6 falling.
Again, this tech lab has been eliminated so many times. Innovation has to do this, or these lings are going to get out of control. The first Hellions out. That's really, in some ways, the counter based off control on trying to take these lings out. And you can see with a dozen SCVs already, Innovation's reluctant to try to use them too much for defense.
A lot of damage dealt to his economy here. 16 SCVs falling. He's had to make and cancel so many tech labs at this point.
That's right.
That is a lot of money.
When it's all said and done, Innovation with 11 SCVs to Scarlett's 24 drones.
Look at the look on his face. He's like, oh my God, this is not a good position to be in. Another cancel there. Of course, he doesn't want a tech lab. A tech lab is not going to do anything for you here.
The tech lab is only being used there to try to get the block off because it makes a little bit faster than that reactor. So it's able to sandbag the rush further and further. If Innovation had not done that, he could have lost even more SCVs. We could have been going into game number 2 already had he not done that.
I tell you, this is crazy what we're seeing here. Scarlett's on 2 bases, going for a Roach Warren right now. Will this be for another level of aggression?
Scarlett continuing with so many successful plays with aggression. I mean, it's Innovation, so he still can come back, but on paper, anybody who's got any experience with StarCraft would look at this and say, I'm liking what Scarlett's pulled off here, delaying the command center, as well as killing off workers, and really going untouched. And is this the point in time where we see the Queens comboed in with the Roaches? I think it is, Artosis.
Indeed it is. A couple Queens coming over right now. Enough to make a Banshee think twice about attacking her Roaches. Obviously, we'll see some transfusion energy. Obviously, we'll see some Ravagers in here as well. A lot of Lings being rallied out.
Now, Scarlett has not shown this just yet. Innovation is turtled up, just trying to play catch-up right now. And you can see his workers are catching up. But that's sort of the whole strategy here for Scarlett, is that she knows she did enough damage. Innovation is limping in this game.
Yeah.
And because he's trying to get so many workers, he may not have adequate defense for this rush that's happening right now.
Oh my God, here we go. Scarlett rushing up this ramp. Some great pulling back by Innovation. Not going to lose too much down there. But with these Corrosive Biles, it's hard to hold on.
It's paramount that this depot is taken out here. I don't know if this rush is being executed as well as Scarlett wanted. Some of those Roaches still down there on the low ground. Although it is a Hellion that does go down with a Viking now landed.
Some great micro here by Scarlett and by Innovation. Good repairs.
Oh, I think it's going to be the bottom depot that's taken out here.
Oh my gosh, so many SCVs dying as they try to repair here.
And watch that worker count plummet once again. Now down to 18. The depot does go. Both of them go down. And not my greatest play-by-play. Now the tech lab can be hit. The workers are exposed. If the Banshee can't cloak, then the workers, well, I guess it might not even matter with the number of SCVs that are already being taken out. 41 workers to 14 here.
Oh, my God.
Tearing the deficit, and there it is, no cloak here, which means these Banshees can just hit. I'm sorry, the Queen can just hit the Banshee.
Look at this, a Marauder popping out right now, trying to help out a bit. That Banshee under fire, and it gets picked off by the Queens. The 2 Queens, the saving grace of this rush.
It should be noted as well is that Scarlett is making drones again behind this, making the distance between the two economically even farther apart.
So 15 SCVs going down. Innovation's on, he did fall as low as 10 workers here. 7 Army supply against 6. The Army supply of Innovation is better. It's 2 Queens, it looks like, for Scarlett over here, but just the amount of SCVs that he continually loses.
And let's not forget that Cloak was denied.
Yes.
So this is just a Banshee, not a Banshee that can cloak and start punishing workers. And it can still obviously get some kills, but it's nowhere near as threatening.
And I believe it was damage. Yeah, look, it's at about half health.
Oh, good point. I hadn't
already
even caught
the Queens are going to fare very well against it. See that? 2 Queens, and there's going to come a Queen from the right.
And
goodbye, Banshee.
Goodbye.
I mean, that's it.
Wow. Taps out. GG. We're going to game number 2. Scarlett's 1 win away, at least in this series, from moving on to the round of 8. The first player to move to round of 8.
This is too crazy for me. Like non-Korean players getting to the round of 8 in 2018. Here we are. Dude, is Scarlett going to win GSL?
I'm afraid I'm about to wake up and it was all just a dream and I'm back in high school.
Like, look at this, okay? She's beaten SOS. She's beaten Zest. She's beaten Rogue. She's maybe going to beat Innovation.
Yeah.
We just named all the top players there. Who's it going to take down Scarlett at this point?
Surprisingly, so many of them with aggressive games, which is really not how you tend to see Koreans lose to non-Koreans.
Yeah.
I had no idea the Zerg race could be this flexible in early game. It really is something else.
She's really filled out her play at this point.
Yeah. Our next map is going to be Neon Violet Square. Innovation. I think most of the world would have perceived, if you were to say just a month ago, who's better, Innovation or Scarlett? I think most people would have said Innovation, but this is just showing you how quickly time can change. Things are different, Artosis.
1 second per second.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak. Innovation.
Gonna need to fight back here on Neon Violet Square. Does not want to go to that loser match, that's for sure.
I'm going to say this, I might be wrong, but I don't think Scarlett's going to be that aggressive this time around.
Okay.
We'll see, though. I think most pro gamers are saying we're saying the exact same thing. I don't think she's going to go that hard this game, and then they lost.
Well, that was a very early all-in. I don't expect that to work twice.
But, I mean, I wonder about any kind of aggression. I mean, she's shown she can have a pretty deadly late game, too.
Yeah.
I mean, outmaneuvering Zest in a pretty sophisticated fashion.
Well, late game is Innovation's domain, though, isn't it? Like, the guy just...
That's the thing,
he
right?
won't miss a beat at that point.
If you can beat Innovation in a long game, you're kind of unstoppable.
But yeah, some of the, like, that rush did very well, and you could see that Scarlett had it mapped out fantastically, the way she kept attacking the add-on. The importance of that cannot be overstated. Wow, these pictures are great. I'm going to steal his notebook. I'm going to go up to him, hey, can I sign that for you? He's like, who are you? And I grab it and run away.
Run out. Okay, well, this is a map that offers a lot of different approaches here due to the third base. There's a free third base in the back behind your main. Oh, look at that Evo chamber, Artosis.
Yeah, that smells of a quick drop.
I think you're correct.
I wonder what type of drop that we'll see. Like, this could be a quick Zergling drop, but it also, just a quick +1 melee right now. But I do think she might get aggressive with this. It's such a fast +1 melee.
Well, I mean, there's no other reason to do that unless you're intending to have strong melee units early on, right? So
yeah.
What exactly the aggression is going to be, I'm actually not totally sure. There's going to be some very fine-tuned math, some serious Zerg calculus going on as to, why you want to have that upgrade like that at a certain point in time. Clearly, your Terran doesn't have something the Zerg has.
Yeah, by the way, just the fact that there's 2 Zerglings there could make Innovation think a little bit, okay, what exactly is going on? A lot of times they meet the Reaper with 4 Zerglings. Here he's waiting for that 3rd drone. Scarlett brings it down with a Queen.
Hatchery planted. As the Reaper, I believe, is going to actually not rotate around, but rotate back to get confirmation it's not a fake.
This is so interesting to me.
He did do that. So he sees, okay, Scarlett's for real taking to third base. And we have a few more drones coming here. We don't see Lings being masked up just yet.
No, and the thing is, we won't just necessarily see it. The +1 could be to deal with those Hellions a little bit quicker when they come in.
Yeah, you might be completely right. I mean,
it's possible.
Some of this might be the effects of the previous games we've casted of her this week, where we're actually just constantly anticipating her to be aggressive, or maybe this is just a build where you get upgrades right away, +1 attack, and I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe you just fend off the Hellions a little bit faster. If the Zerg isn't aware of it, they might miscalculate when they're supposed to be kiting versus firing.
Well, look at the timing of this +1 melee, right? It is going to finish literally as the Hellions get there, and so are these Lings are also going to pop at that time. And Innovation probably will be caught a little bit off guard when he's microing against this, because you won't necessarily click on a Zergling to check if it has +1 at this time. It's not very common in this matchup. So
now
this is neat.
With a Baneling Nest follow-up and the fact that we still have Zerglings being made, is the game plan to gobble up the Hellions and then to try to do some kind of big attack?
It definitely
as
could
Terran
be.
is transitioning into bio. Oh my God, the surround is real. And these are going down much faster. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Fatality right there on those Hellions.
Oh boy.
A dozen more Lings inbound. Baneling's Nest is finished, although we don't have Banelings being made just yet.
Jeez, this strategy, man. Innovation's in so much trouble, it's crazy. I don't think he has any idea what's going on right now.
Yeah, he might still not even know about the attack upgrade just yet. He might have just, you know, things happen so quickly.
I think, yeah, the speed with which he lost those Hellions, he might have some sort of idea. But look at this, the Baneling's coming up now. Oh my God, he just doesn't have much. Okay, he's walling in everything right now.
Is that going to be that much of an issue, though? All right, already the base has been breached. The Hellions now moving up the ramp. SCVs being evacuated.
Oh man, these Banelings connecting with a lot of those SCVs, getting right up over those depots. Some good micro on the Hellions, but the Banelings are here to do some damage.
Coming in now, SCVs are being split up, and a big detonation over there. 26 workers down.
Oh my God, 28 workers dying. More and more Lings coming in right now. That third base might be canceled. All the buildings in the front being killed for sure here.
And behind this, Scarlett is droning up. That hatchery will go down. I'm sorry, command center will go down in this game.
Innovation with some good micro on these Hellions, but the damage has been dealt. 32 SCVs falling. Innovation at 12 workers. This guy's barely able to keep double-digit SCVs against Scarlett.
This is something else, guys. 7 more drones being made, and keep in mind, with that, I keep calling it a hatchery, with the command center being denied, it's just less workers that can actually be pumped out. And we all know Zerg can make workers at a very scary rate. So Innovation trying to seesaw this back over to the other side of the map is going to come in looking for some drone kills.
All right, it's a good amount of Hellions. Let's see how many Lings. That's a good amount of Lings. And with that +1, with these Queens as well, I can't imagine too much damage being dealt with that nice creep spread. Scarlett on top of things has that +1 carapace on the way, so she will have 1-1 around the same time that Innovation gets his 1-1, just slightly ahead of time.
You got to respect the very conservative response there from Innovation. When he goes out and says that he's not entirely confident he can get kills, he just goes back. But this means that Scarlett, the economic engine is growing at a crazy rate. We're seeing drones hatch everywhere. It's 62 drones to 24 SCVs.
Wow, this is just so masterfully done by Scarlett. And I love the Baneling speed. The speed with which she's getting Baneling speed here as well. It's going to be done along with 1-1. So like any time that Innovation attacks, Baneling speed will be there. The creep spread will be enough. Her drone count is so healthy, and she's taken a very safe 4th base. She's not overextending in any way.
You can see these Hellions really unable to do anything at this point in time.
She might just go kill Innovation, to be honest. She's going to have 100 Lings here in a second.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of these things where Innovation is smothered with Zerglings.
Yeah, Baneling speed, you can't even micro.
Yeah. Innovation actually going to drop now. Now, this could curb the tide totally in the opposite direction, because if the Lings are out of, oh my God, if the Lings are out of position, then Innovation can still control and stim, but I don't know what Innovation's supposed to do against this.
Look at this unit count. 71 Lings, over 30 Banes.
This could be a base trader, Tosis. Keep in mind the Banelings.
I think
during
Scarlett
the attack,
takes that one.
During the attack, the Banelings are going to detonate.
The tank is not even sieged. Here we go. Scarlett rolling in. So many Banelings. Gonna go right up this ramp. The Marines trying to micro against this. The tank siege is up, gets 1 volley off, but now Innovation with that counterattack.
Innovation continuing to tear through. It does seem that for now, Innovation, oh, excuse me, there's actually so much going across the map. Scarlett decides to turn around, though, at the last second, saying that she has to take out this attack here initially.
Oh, my God, that is a lot of Lings coming up, but great placement here by Innovation. gets away with one medevac worth of units, but what about at home?
Yeah, a nice snipe back there. Having one medevac with units in it versus 2 is a big, big difference. Scarlett now scrambling to move across the map and do enough damage. A bad trade there for Scarlett with Innovation coming out on top.
Oh, well, look at this, okay? So definitely some more damage was done to his workers, and at this point, when you've taken that much damage to workers already, any additional damage is like just laying it on. So Innovation at just 20 workers, but you know, he's sitting here with a decent number of medevacs, some Marines with stim, and the anti-air of Scarlett right now is only Queens. So there can be some good micro coming out of Innovation.
It needs to be emphasized, there's still only 20 SCVs for Innovation. So Scarlett is able to grow at a very scary rate. Scarlett is still able to have some unfavorable trades, and really she should still be on top. With the tank sieging up, Innovation's going to have to try to hold this position. I do not believe that he can.
Some good micro by Innovation, kiting backwards with these units, but there is just too much. The macro of Scarlett, 2 on point here. He has to pick up and run.
Innovation having a hard time keeping his feet on the ground. He is still very much exposed back at home, and I think this link counterattack could become problematic. Innovation going to try and go towards the main, although Scarlett already sees this coming.
Has some Lings in position, but dropping these Marines right out. Innovation knows he has the numbers right here. Banelings, though, were sent home to help deal with this, and Scarlett picks up.
Did you see how good that targeting was by Innovation on each of those Banelings?
Yeah. Pretty crazy. Look at this, 10 Mutalisks on the way right now.
Now, the Mutalisks are going to deny Innovation from really freely moving around with these medevacs. But that doesn't mean for now, until those meters have hatched, that these Marines can't do a decent amount of damage.
Well, if Innovation loses all these medevacs, that is a big deal. Like, that's the only thing he has of value right now, to be honest.
It's a good point. He doesn't really have much of anything. And these medevacs, the boost is already gone.
Man.
They almost can't unload in some of these locations that you can see Innovation is scoping out. Reinforcements come in. GG! Scarlett with a 2-0 victory.
Oh, my God. Scarlett just 2-0'd Innovation.
You can see she can't hide the smile.
God. Scarlett is the first player into the round. I'm getting chills.
This is so
Scarlett's
crazy.
in the round of 8.
And the players she beat, both Zest and Innovation.
2 of the winningest players of all time.
That's right.
Oh my God. Going into the season, those were 2 of the favorites to win it.
That's right. Innovation, of course, will go to our losers match, so he's not yet eliminated in Group A of the round of 16. We are going to go now to an interview with Scarlett and see how she's feeling now that she is the first player in this season of the GSL to go on to the round of 8. The first non-Korean in a long time to go that far as well.
기세입니다. 탑시드 이신영 선수를 꺾고 8강에 안착한 스칼렛 선수 만나보겠습니다. 축하드립니다. 네, 자 스칼렛 선수 탑시드 이신영 선수를 꺾고 8강에 올라갔습니다. 먼저 소감부터 들어볼게요.
So you've been over Innovation and this is your first round 8. How do you feel?
I feel really good right now. I just came off winning IEM Pyeongchang a few days ago, and I still thought that Renovate GSL is a huge achievement, so I really wanted to win here as well, and I'm really happy I did.
평창에서 이겼기 때문에 이번에도 꼭 이기고 싶었는데 이렇게 이기게 돼가지고 기분이 굉장히 좋다고 합니다.
확실히 그 IEM 평창 우승도 오늘 경기력에 도움이 된 건가요?
So winning at IEM Pyeongchang helped to win this game too, you think?
Yeah, I think it gave me a lot more confidence. In the past, I've had trouble with nerves in GSL, but today I felt like I played really solid.
이전에는 굉장히 긴장도 많이 하고 그랬지만 그 IEM 평창에서 우승을 해서 좀 자신감을 얻어서 오늘은 좀 견고하게 플레이를 할 수 있었다고 합니다.
그랬군요. 자, 오늘 경기 정말 멋졌습니다. 특히 승자전에서 썼던 올인 빌드나 주성 선수 올인 빌드 이런 것들이 아주 좋았는데 확실히 노리 이그레스 선수의 느낌도 났었어요. 혹시 이 친구의 도움이 있었나요?
So you focused on early rush build. So was it a help from No Regret?
Yeah, I definitely got some help from him. I think both builds I used against Innovation were with his advice.
일단 이신영 선수한테 썼던 2개의 빌드 모두 노그리글 선수가 노그리글 선수의 도움을 받아서 할 수 있었다고 합니다.
와,
This is amazing.
노 리그레 선수가 스칼렛 선수를 대신해서 조지명식에 참여해서 조도 짜줬거든요. 그 A조 짜준 걸 보고 어떠셨는지?
So he participated in group nomination instead of you. So he made this group. How did you feel after looking at the lineup?
I was really happy with my group. Actually, I was really happy with how he chose for me. Unfortunately, I couldn't come because I had to play WSG really early in the morning. But I'm definitely happy with what No Regret picked for me.
스케줄이 있어서 그날 참석은 못했지만 노 리그레 선수가 그렇게 조를 짜준 거에 대해서 굉장히 좋았다고 합니다. 네, 마음에 들었다고 합니다.
네. 이 노 리그레 선수와 함께 자면서 또 연습도 이렇게 하고 있는 걸로 알고 있는데 오늘 또 응원도 오셨잖아요. 또 감사하다는 그 메시지 들을 수 있을까요?
So he's here for you. I heard that you're very friendly with him. Do you want to say something to him right now?
Thank you, Jake, so much for the help here at IEM Pyeongchang. I don't know if I would have won in both tournaments without your help, so thank you.
평창에서부터 이렇게 도움을 줘서 굉장히 감사하다고 하고 그가 없었다면 이 두 게임에서 이길 수 있었는지 모르겠다고 감사하다고 전하네요.
네, 알겠습니다. 오늘 승리 다시 한번 축하드리겠습니다. 자, 그리고 오늘 이 스타2 프로덕션 디렉터 팀 모튼을 비롯해서 이 스타2 관계자분들이 아주 많이 와 계시는데요. 이분들이 오신 김에 이분들에게 직접 하실 말씀이 있으신지.
So many from Blizzard, including Team Moten, has come over here today. So do you want to say anything like about game or something to them directly? They're here, right?
About the game?
Anything.
Thank you for coming out and supporting me, and thank you for making StarCraft 2 and letting us all play this great game.
네, 그냥 스타크래프트 2를 만들어서 이렇게 게임을 할 수 있게 해주셔서 감사하고 또 여기 와서 이렇게 관람을 해주셔서 감사하다고 전하고 있습니다.
네, 저는 직접 이분들에게 모선 삭제 같은 희망사항을 요청하시지 않을까 생각을 했는데 다소 다른 답변이 나왔네요. 자, 그렇다면 계속해서 다음 8강 경기는 B조 2위와 만나게 됩니다. 그 B조에서는 프로토스가 없는 저그와 테란으로만 된 조인데요. 원하는 상대가 혹시 있는지 물어보겠습니다.
So you're going to meet second place from Group B, and there's no Protoss, right? So who do you want to meet?
I want to play one of the Zerg players. I think it's Dark or Sue in the group, and I have a lot more confidence in my ZVZ right now, so maybe I don't know which, because Sue is very hard in the bracket stage of the tournament, but definitely one of them.
일단 저저전에서 지금 굉장히 자신감을 갖고 있으므로 어윤수 선수나 박영훈 선수 둘 중에 한 분을 만나고 싶다고 하십니다.
화끈한 저그전 저희가 한번 기대를 해보도록 하겠습니다. 자, 그렇다면 마지막으로 응원해주시는 국내외 팬분들께 한마디 들어보겠습니다.
So do you have anything to say to the international fan and Korean fans here?
Thanks for coming out. There's so many people here in the crowd, and so many fans come and support me every time I play in GSL, and it makes me want to perform better.
일단 GSL 할 때마다 오셔서 응원을 해주시는 분들한테 감사하다고 전하시고 그 분들 덕분에 좀 더 잘 플레이를 하고 할 수 있는 원동력이 된다고 합니다.
네, 알겠습니다. 다시 한번 8강 진출 축하드립니다.
Congratulations.
Well, welcome to our new reality.
So
where
cool.
Scarlett is beating everybody in the world, and based upon who she may face in the next round, in the round of 8, it is so. Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter.
Who cares?
Because she's beaten.
She can beat anybody
in this tournament. Innovation, the best Terran in the world. Rogue, the defending world champion, best Zerg in the world. Zest, who might be the best Protoss in the world right now. He's been killing the ladder. He's been in good shape.
I don't know who.
There's nothing left.
I feel like if you can beat Innovation and the games look like that, we don't have any other player that we can pick out and say, well, what about that individual?
She has recently beaten Serral, Elaser, Rogue in ZVZ, SOS and Zest in ZVP, and now Innovation 2-0 in ZVT. Scarlett can win this season. It's a possibility.
This is so sick. We are going to go to a short break. We come back. We have the losers matches. We are not done yet today here at the GSL Codes, so stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes.
I'd go back to the start. Hold love in my hands, not just in my heart. If I had the chance, I would do it all again. This time I'd get it right and never let it end. Over, under, falling. Can't you hear it calling? Over, under, falling. Can't you hear it calling? We let love escape. We let love escape. We let love escape. It's a million miles away. We let love escape. We let love escape. We let love escape. It's a million miles away. If I had the chance, I'd go back to the start. Hold love in my hands, not just in my heart. If I had the chance, I would do it all again. This time I'd get it right and never let it end. Over, under, falling. Can't you hear it calling? Over, under, falling. Can't you hear it calling? We let love escape. We let love escape. We let love escape. It's a million miles away. We let love escape. We let love escape. We let love escape. It's a million miles away.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
Got an itchy finger, and I'd like to prove I'm an easygoing little angry soul. This is how I see things through a scope of truth. Pain is just another way to speak the truth. All it takes is just one gun to start it all, and then it's no fun. All it takes is just one gun, just one gun, just one gun. Oh, you slide your fingers down the side of me. Take a slow but deep breath. Feel that ecstasy. Raging hunger in me. Retribution free. Would you like to sing that angry song with me? All it takes is just one gun to start it all, and
From Free Cup Studio in Seoul, this is the GSL.
Sorry guys, I had to finish chewing my food. I'm back. We're back. What a day.
Yeah, welcome,
what a day.
Welcome back to the new reality where Scarlett beats everybody and is apparently the best player in the world, if not one of them.
Is changing.
Or, that was reverse, but dude, she's yeah, it's crazy. This is so exciting though. I actually never thought we'd see this day.
Pretty crazy.
I mean, Taste and I have been around StarCraft for about 20 years now.
Let me tell you something. We have wanted to see this day for some time.
Yeah.
We have been jonesing for it.
Yeah, to see a non-Korean pro that truly just plays actually on this level. Not just like occasionally winning, but actually on this level consistently. This is exciting stuff. But look, the group is not over. The group is still highly contested. It's going to be Zest against Leenock. Innovation crossing his fingers that Leenock wins. Leenock crossing his fingers that Leenock wins. Zest getting ready to make 3 to 4 oracles after a Phoenix.
We must point out, guys, Innovation still being in this group. He could still get eliminated. That's another big narrative that we have to focus on. Innovation getting eliminated anywhere that's not the top 4 is weird.
Yeah. Zest can beat Innovation. It's absolutely a fact.
For sure. Now, Leenock also looked very strong in the games that we just casted to start the day off.
Yeah, he did look good.
But that being said, Zest was holding his own against Scarlett, actually losing 1-2. So far, Zest has done the best against Scarlett out of anybody so far.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
I just can't believe this is so crazy. It's awesome. Oh.
Zest.
But as you said, Zest actually looked good against Scarlett. That game 1, I think that he thinks it was a fluke. I actually think it was a... The thing is, Scarlett's great, and she won. But if his oracles see that attack incoming, I don't think it looks like that. I don't think it ends there. Maybe she wins anyways.
Titan,
right?
EX1,
so I think that his PVZ is pretty darn good right now. I thought that was a good series from him.
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to have a very good understanding of how to navigate early game going into mid game. I thought Scarlett showed, especially positionally in their macro game they played, where Scarlett came on top, I thought she showed a really unmatched style, and I don't know if that's really how Leenock approaches this matchup. Leenock is definitely a good player, but approaches the game in a different way. So this may look quite different.
I think it will. But, you know, Leenock definitely can pull the aggressions in, or I don't know, that's a weird way to put it, but definitely can get aggressive like we've seen a lot from Scarlett. But if he paid close attention, I'm sure he did to Zest series against Scarlett. Well, aggression is not the right thing to do against Zest. His build is actually nearly aggression-proof. It wasn't aggression-proof because he did lose that one aggression game from Scarlett against Scarlett, but that was more due to his flying the oracles slightly wrong, right? If he had flown them in a slightly different path, he sees it all coming. Maybe he holds it, maybe he doesn't, but right, you don't want to bet. If you know your opponent's going to make 4 oracles, you're not going to set up a Roach Ravager attack.
Well, I think it's not just that, but it's the fact that you already have a Zerg that's more aggressive than you in this group. I think it's completely fair to say Scarlett's got better aggro builds than Leenock, so why would you try to do that if Zest has already gotten practice against that, already gotten prep against that?
I tend to agree with you on these points.
So similar to the other PVZs that we've seen already from Zest, he is going to get that Stargate. We should not be surprised if it goes from 1 Phoenix into a handful of oracles.
Yeah. By the way, that patch allowing adepts to keep moving where you told them to after you shade. What a quality of life adjustment for Protoss right there, man.
Oh, yeah.
My little adept, he like stutters when I tell him to do it. No more tasteless. You see that? The smoothness, the adept's coming out.
Another good little fix.
Yeah, I like it.
An adept going to not shade. Oh, excuse me. He's going to shade in.
Yeah, I'm not surprised that he's going for this. Like, he probably won't end up losing this adept. And, you know, you won't necessarily, like, kill anything. Maybe you'll get a Ling or something. But this is a fantastic scout. right? Like, if the lings are not completely on top of you, if they don't have like 6 lings on top of that shade, you can get in and get out. And we saw there, he just checked. He knows that there's not an attack on the way. You know, maybe this is the difference between, does he make 3 oracles, does he make 4 oracles, how quickly does he get all his other tech, his expansion.
So, as is par for the course with an opening like this coming from Zest, Zest does take out the first Overlord. There's still one stray one on the map. That one's headed northbound towards Scarlett's third base. And from here, the Oracles come out, and Zest just wants to try to get as many kills on workers and continue to scout and get a read on what direction Leenock wants to take this game to.
Yeah, and Leenock, we can't really tell quite yet. You know, making an evolution chamber, okay, that's fine. Not for drops, certainly. There's some spores on the way, as there should be. Just kind of droning up. Pretty normal, standard stuff, but look at this. Zest is switching it up, making double Twilight instead of double Robo. Okay, that can't be.
That's not a
on purpose,
thing.
Right?
That's not a thing.
I need glaives and charge.
So this does sometimes happen in pro matches. Yeah. There it is. He sees it, and the Robo base starts.
There you go.
Sometimes you're doing so many things so quickly that you actually end up doing a repeat of one structure you only needed once.
Mm-hmm.
A good thing Zest caught that, or not just that it would have been a waste, as far as like him getting those, you know, having just a useless structure, but also you do need the Robo out. And from here we see Zealot legs and an additional gateway.
It was funny. That was kind of like a little bit of mismicro from Zest, I think.
Well, I think the moment that he realized, oh my God, I'm making 2 of the same structure, you can spook yourself.
Oh, you could.
For sure.
I wonder, too, because where he picked up the Queen and then flew the Oracles in there, the Queen was kind of obstructing some of the view of the drones. Things like that can happen. It's a funny way for things to go down. But Charge is on the way. Those gateways finishing up now as well. Quite a few Zerglings coming down, but I don't foresee them getting in at all, of course. If the build that he did here, Leenock did, would be very good if Zest had gone for a third base quickly. When you get +1 and this many lings, a lot of times you can get a cancel on that Nexus, but Zest has really taken his time. We can see he has a decent number of Zealots, Adepts, Sentries here before he's taking it, so these Zerglings are not really being that useful right now.
Note the patience here of Zest, not right away trying to gun those down unless he has some kind of ideal position where he can do that. So Leenock's going to take that. He'll keep outside this area, trying to see if he can get any further reads on you know, the direction Zest is trying to take this game. That Zealot leg speed upgrade is about to finish, as we now have a point in time where all these gateways are up. It's possible Zest begins to push out with some Zealots, maybe some Archons here, and tries to be a little bit more assertive on the map.
Well, Zest is getting Psystorm, and he sends his Oracles up, both to harass and to get a bit more scouting done. It's definitely important, right? Because he's just sitting down there on top of the lings. He's like, okay, am I going to need to use these? No, it seems like you're not actually going to attack yet. And Leenock is going into Baneling speed, that +2 melee that's so deadly against probes. Getting his Hydras as well, making some additional hatcheries. But with Psystorm already on the way, you know, it seems like Zest kind of has the answers as of right now.
Wow, really great force fields there, taking out a good number of Zerglings and canceling those Banelings up there.
Yeah, there's a Baneling drop that's going to be coming in. Leenock did end up getting Overlord speed there.
Another great snipe there, taking out 2 of those drones.
Looks like that Baneling drop is going to come before +2 is done. Of course, with +2, a Baneling one-shots probes, so that's pretty powerful. But Baneling drops in general, pretty worthwhile on these mineral lines. A well-placed shield battery in here, though.
Let's see, actually, if Zest goes down to the bottom left here. Oh, I'm sorry. In fact, he's not. He's going to back off from that location. Instead, he's just staying out here. He's trying to get his own read on the 4th base and when and if he should try to attack into it, because definitely Protoss is powered up now. There's a lot of gateways. Immortals are continuing to come out. There's already an Observer available during this push. The 2 Oracles can pair up with the army and start to mow down lings, especially if an Oracle is put in the right position in a big fight. They can get a lot of kills off if the Zerg doesn't target fire the Oracle down.
Yeah. By the way, I love moves like this. I thought he was going to not wait for +2, But it seems like he, oh wait, he's moving just
this is like an anti-timing.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
that's too bad.
This is unfortunate for Leenock.
Yeah, like I guess he saw where the Phoenix was.
Oh, well, he's going to go for the Templars. Does he actually manage to catch him? Kind of a funny spread they have there.
Yeah, okay, well, I mean, if he gets, oh, wow, that's a good Templar pickup. That had 2 storms on it.
And
wow,
a second
another
Templar
one.
goes down.
Hey, that's significant right there. That's like 4 Psy Storms that Zest no longer has. That's a huge investment that's gone. He lost 3 High Templars, in fact.
We just saw 4 more Templars get made. The Immortals are continuing to be pumped out, and it looks like we might have a Hydra Bane attack over here on the 3rd base as Leenock is going to drone up the 4th base at the same time.
Dude, those High Templars are so early. This would have been 6 additional Storms in this fight. 6 Storms is enough to kill that army.
Okay, but if the Storms are good enough, those Banelings never connect.
Great control here by
Wow,
Zest.
Zest making that look easy.
Yeah.
The number of Banelings that did 0 was astounding.
Well, Zest with just on-point defense so far. Bring around the hatchery right there.
And you can see these Zealots continuing to chase further out here. But Leenock, really, that attack, completely ineffective. I see some more Overlords coming down here, but maybe we'll have another drop later on. But right now, Protoss is turtled up on 3 bases. There may be a 4th taken in a little bit. We see Zest kind of poking out. But this is a moment where, just due to how Leenock is macroed and the way this game has been teched up, he's about to become maxed out. And it seems like from there he wants to rely on drops and maybe trying to poke into areas where Zest isn't ready. But this is easier said than done for Leenock. It seems like Zest overall has had pretty good control throughout this series. He seems to have eyes all over every corner of the mini-map that he can see. I'm not sure if Zest is going to be caught off guard here.
Well, if he does get caught off guard, that is one way you can end up winning. You notice the 2 drop Overlords coming down. He tags those. That's a very excellent tag, knowing that that is one way you can absolutely lose in this position.
So far, the drop hasn't commenced yet. We see some Storms coming down here. And actually doing a good job targeting the majority of these Banelings. But there are enough Hydras over here. Zest needs to come down with a little bit more of his army.
Yeah, starting to bring down the rest of it right now. It seems like he has enough units right there, but Leenock going towards the main base as well. A huge amount of the units. The Immortals coming to the main.
Oh my God. Wow. Did not do a thing, and the Storms are too good there. We see an attack over here with these Hydras, but this, of course, is not really going to do much of anything. I mean, really, Zest has got just stellar defense, actually chasing away some of this army now. We may see Zest regroup and try to counterattack now. In fact, I think that's exactly what we're seeing here.
You know, I got to tell you, I feel like Leenock is doing a lot of really cool things, a lot of really intelligent things, and everything is just kind of not working out.
Yeah, Zest is basically killing these drops in its crib. And now Zest has this push coming up here. Now, I don't know how many Storms and force fields he has available. I don't think it's that many. But this is scary. Protoss continues to grow. Zerg scrambles to get the 5th base operational. You know, there's a point in time where, especially when the Protoss is on a 4th base like this and everything seems to be safe, it's hard to stop them from doing really anything, especially if they're macroed up on that for a while. We have another drop in here. I believe this one should end up unloading, although one does detonate on top of the Nexus, which is, you know, not the desired result here for Leenock. But there is a big counterattack down here at the 3rd.
Yeah.
And I don't see much of anything here for Zest.
Definitely a significant amount of units down here. Some great weapons by Zest to slow down these Banelings. But, oh, man, a huge amount of probes ended up going down here. So Leenock finally gets some real quality damage done right there, killing off quite a few probes. But, oh my God, Leenock is switching into Mutalisks. That is not something that I expected to happen.
Well, it's smart. The only thing that can really hit the Mutalisks is the Archons, and the Mutas never have to fight those if they don't want to.
But will this attack kill him? Like, is there enough storm?
Wondering. Well, with good storms, I mean, if the Mutas try to take on this attack immediately, I think it's going to be problematic. But a counterattack, on the other hand, which I believe is the direction Leenock wants to go, that'll be tough because the Mutas are going to do so much damage so quickly. However, Zest is already pushed up here, and Zest is just going to go towards the main.
Well, Leenock's going to go that way as well. Going to easily take out that 4th base. Let's not forget, there could be a recall coming up to save one of Zest's base here if he can kill everything else. Zest splitting his army into 3 or 4 directions here, just hitting everywhere at once.
The Mutalisks are going to have to come back, although it's going to be tricky. They might try to just fight the Immortals or the other stray units back here. Although I think Zest is aware that that might happen here. I mean, these Hydras coming out here. This is like so hard to cast, guys. I'm not even sure. I believe the main hatchery is about to go down. It seems like with well-placed Immortals and Templars, Protoss can also still hold here. So it's still going to be Zest on 3 bases, but a pretty disjointed Zerg as well. Okay, so the final hatchery is going to go down. The Spire also could go down as well, which means that, all right, that's it. GG.
That was a crazy one at the end there.
Yeah, that was actually one of the trickier casts I think we've had to do in the last few minutes. But you can see that really Zest had a bigger army at the end. The ability to regroup, the ability to try to staple down his defenses and just brace for impact. And Leenock's space was in shambles.
It was. Yet here he is, you know, taking out Zest. And, you know, Muta's in a base trade, definitely going to be scary. Zest, the thing is, his army together is very fearsome. And he tried to split up. He tried to kill a lot. Leenock went down, did his counterattack damage, knocked out basically the entire economy of Zest. And then the Mutas helped him to clean up everything. So well done there by Leenock. Definitely a down and dirty game, but he finds his damage where he can. And I do want to just bring up real quick, Tasis, about those carriers. Like, I do like carriers in general against a Zerg that is kind of like staying too long in layer tech type play sometimes, but did he go it too fast here? Leenock in a lot of ways was a bit all in. Maybe if he had stayed on ground units, invested more High Templars, invested in more defense, more Immortals, more charge lots, that type of thing, he could have done better. I'm not sure.
I agree with you. I think you know, the strength of that layer tech is you win the fights on the map, but if you turtle up, what is Zerg supposed to do?
Yeah. Daybreak. Zest.
You know, in a lot of ways, what we're seeing from Leenock is good, but it's sort of par for the course for like the past 15 months.
Titan EX1. Leenock.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I'm not saying it's bad, but it is funny to compare the two Zerg styles, comparing Scarlett's to Leenock's, where I feel like Leenock's is a little bit maybe past the expiration date. In the meta.
Okay. And to be fair, I think the Baneling drops going in, like, I mean, it's old, but it's also not something we saw used a lot, right? The +2 Baneling drops, and then he hunted High Templars with it. So there were some cool moves in there that were kind of, you know, not the meta we watched all in the second half last year. But at the same time, like, this very Hydra-heavy style is very good against Zest. In fact, that's how Laser picked Zest apart in a lot of ways, right? Like, Zest is always at the very top of the ladder, playing the very top players who are at the lead of the metagame very oftentimes. So, I don't know. Maybe this catches him off guard a little bit, having to play against that much. And, like, again, if your opponent isn't going into Hive, if your opponent isn't going into Lurkers, I don't like the carriers there as much, right?
Yeah.
I think if your opponent's going towards Broods, get Tempest. If they're going towards Lurkers, I think the carriers can be fantastic. But if they're on Hydra Bane, you got to be careful because that is an explosive army, and if you screw up at all, they're going to get you.
Well, you're not getting something that is an immediate response to for instance, all those Banelings and Hydras, right? You're kind of almost trying to tech past it, but you're not really acknowledging it, and it doesn't make you stronger against it. Where, you know, Hydra Bane, if you're attacked by that a couple times and you don't die, well, where did all the Zerg's gas go? Into Banelings that probably didn't detonate on the proper units. And in some ways, the Zerg is just putting themselves behind.
Yeah, you're quite right. Like, a few extra carriers, 2 carriers, then 4 carriers. Against Hydra Bane, this doesn't actually do anything. And I'm sure people are remembering games they've had where masses of carriers just slaughter a Hydra Bane army. Yeah, okay. That can occur. That isn't this type of game, right, where people are at each other's throat. They're actually attacking each other. It's lower numbers because it's not Supreme late game. The carriers are not as useful in those situations.
Okay, this is a little bit concerning. This did just come in. Oh my God, is the attempt going to live? Go, 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 go.
Wow.
I was so sure that was going to die.
It's funny, right? Because he really tried to get up there this time, like he did last game. Yeah. Remember, we were talking specifically about this. I was saying if... Oh, my God, does he see that? That hatchery right near his base? Because we've been talking about everything else in the whole world. But, yeah, he doesn't actually know about that yet. So this is really deadly. If he had seen the Roach Warren, he'd be much more prepared for this. But the 6 Lings were on top of the Adept, so he could not actually scout it. I'm surprised the Adept even lived. I think he might just die, though. With the hatchery this close, he's going to go find it. Okay, this is where you start making shield batteries.
Here we go.
You finish that
Creep
wall
has been spotted.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, now the Oracle in an odd position here as there's a Queen. They could try to drive it back. I'm worried that the shield batteries aren't even going to be done in time. Not bad targeting, though.
Great pickup on the Queen. Great pickup on the Queen. Going after the Ravager. This is really powerful defense so far, but some Lings breaking in right there. The probes have to be pulled.
Warp gate's not done yet.
Okay, just now finishing. The Oracle looks like it's out of energy. That's a big, big deal. Another
There's
one
a second
comes out.
one.
Has to take out that Queen first. Oh, there's not even a second Queen building, actually.
Okay, warp gate finishes. So we have some more warp-ins coming in. Looks like it's going to be a sentry first. The Oracles, I believe, are both out of energy.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that is a big issue right there. The Queen just adding in damage all over the place. The shield batteries doing their best here, but this gateway looks like it's going to fall. Oh, my God.
The gateway goes down. It's going to be up to the Adepts to try to hold this. There is one force field available. All right, I'm sorry, is there not? Yeah, there is a sentry. It's just above the hit points of the force field, excuse me.
Mass shield batteries, but there's only one pylon here, actually.
Yeah.
If he were to target said pylon,
said base would be unpowered.
Yeah.
Did he actually hold this?
So far,
this game goes on. There's going to be
how many gates does he actually have, though? Does he only have one gateway?
There's going to be a garage sale for these shield batteries, and they're not going to go for very much.
He's got to heal that. Come on, shield batteries, heal that pylon.
The symbiosis of the shield battery and the pylon.
Yeah, it is real here. Oh, my gosh.
You can see the Oracles are staying back, trying to jump in at the last possible second. Here we go.
Yeah.
Targeting on the Queens. Damage being distributed very, very quickly. Some Lings have breached us, so it's actually probes versus Lings. This is a nail biter of a game.
It really is, but
I think he just held it.
Dude, this is a clutch hold if he is actually going to hold this one. Like, saving those Oracles for that long, if he hadn't done that, he would not be able to break this because he needed that extra energy. It felt like he was going to be broken so many times here.
This goes to show you, no disrespect to Leenock, but the real difference between the rush strategies that Scarlett came in here with and what Leenock is trying to use right now.
Certainly.
Ouch. Takes out the Ravager before it really gets to be a factor in this game.
Oh, my God. This is almost 100% held at this point.
Yeah, I think so.
The Void Ray coming out just does it.
42 probes to 25 drones. So even though some probes are killed there by Zest, Zest is in a very good position. GG!
Yeah.
Zest wins 2-0.
No, 1-1.
1-1. Sorry. That was crazy, though. Honestly, I have to say that hold was brilliant. I wonder if it was a mistake to have the Overlord in a location where the Phoenix would be drawn to the creep.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you mean by that. Like, maybe if he had just sent the Overlord in so that the Phoenix, when it goes to attack it, doesn't get in creep range, maybe that's enough to break through or something, but Zest scouts it, barely holds on with everything, like the probe pulls, all those shield batteries he needed, every single one, and especially holding the energy on those Oracles.
It's an interesting situation for the Zerg now because, with the way the shield battery is operating, we see Protoss have holds that don't look like anything we've seen before.
Yeah.
And I think perhaps some Zergs, even the best in the world, are trying to wrap their heads around, the feel for that. If you played enough StarCraft 2, as a battle's about to happen, you can glance at the screen and generally get a feel for the way it's supposed to go, based off the positioning, what upgrades you have, the angle that the spells can be cast at. But that's tough. I mean, when those Oracles are able to snipe down some of those Ravagers, it was just too much.
It certainly was. Ascension to Ire, our last map here. Who will go on to face Innovation?
We've got so many cool soundtracks here at the GSL.
Zest.
That
Titan EX1.
that
Leenock.
rush came very close to killing Zest. Zest was almost eliminated by Leenock in the loser match in the round of 16. This is not where Zest wants to end it.
Well, Leenock, he's a tenacious guy. He is probably still going to be in GSLs for years to come.
You know,
he's somebody who, we don't, I think, look at him the same way we look at so many other top Zergs, but you can see in his games, he does prepare, he comes in with a plan. He is constantly adapting to the changes, whether it be in the meta or in the actual patches for StarCraft 2. So, I mean, what do we think is going to happen here from Leenock this time around? I don't think
it's hard to say.
I mean, I thought he had some pretty decent mid-late game, but yeah, I guess maybe not going for a rush like that. That might be the play.
I'd like to see just Hydraling Bane out of him. It seems to be one of Zest's real weak points is to fight against, you know, a reasonable economy, 60+ drone Hydraling Bane. You know, sometimes he goes into carriers a bit too quick. He's had these Oracle openings, right? Just over and over and over in this matchup. So I don't really want to see these roach rushes. You know, it's hard to catch someone off guard if they use their Oracles just perfectly. And that's a hard thing to do, indeed. But the Oracles, they shoot down, and roaches just don't shoot up.
Unfortunately, they cannot just stand on their hind legs and fire at air units.
I would say fortunately. This game might be very broken.
Imagine
if they
that, roaches hitting air units.
Oh my god. How do you counter carriers, roaches?
You got a Zerg player going Mutilus that just flies over roaches and they die. Oh, I almost got it.
It would be
his mouth was full of water. I almost got the water to come out of your nose, Artosis.
Well, I'm just thinking how especially stupid the Mutilus could be in ZVZ if roaches hit air.
Not a single roach would have died as 12 mutas fly over, and
oh man,
most are killed before they get to fire. Really,
Mutilus strategies would go out of style very quickly in ZVZ.
That's right. The Mutilus would become the scout, like the Protoss scout from Brood War. It's like, well, we don't really know what to do with this thing. So we have Zergling Speed on the way. Par for the course, we have Phoenix coming out here for Zest, and we're going to see the Oracles after that.
Yeah, he's trying right now to scout as best he can with this first Adept. In fact, a second Adept coming in. Okay.
And here comes that moment now. A pretty good surround here with some of these Lings, though.
Yeah, some slippery Adepts. One will make it out. Not a ton of intel, to be honest. Trying to sneak in as much as he can. And because he doesn't have a ton of intel, gonna make this shield battery. Obviously, that'll make the one Adept hold on against about 450 Zerglings. But, you know, just if you don't know for sure, I think it's probably worth a shield battery to not be eliminated in the round of 16.
Yeah, it should be noted that Zerg is just droning up, but it's not a big deal, really, if they got the shield battery. I guess in a perfect world, you would only have the exact amount you needed, but
yeah,
you know, that's the whole thing about Zergs is we're seeing just how flexible they can be as far as aggression to macro games at the start.
You know, this is one of the things that went wrong against Scarlett in Game 1 is Zest had to turn on his Oracle multiple times at his wall because he did not have a shield battery to support his Adept. So, you know, this is just like a little change we've seen from Zest, making him a bit safer. And, you know, it's not that many minerals.
Well, it also shows that he's such a great player. He's making these small adjustments early on. And that's, I think, one of the great things about the fact that we have these group stages like we do, where the player has to, if they're going to move on to a deep part of the tournament, they have to be good at multiple matchups and multiple different opponents.
That's the second time I've seen misclicks from Zest with his Oracles. He attacked that Spore. That was second or third time today, in fact. It's kind of interesting.
Well, it can be pretty tricky. You know, those drones die so quickly.
Yeah.
Try to shift click them down, especially if you do end up shift clicking, in which case they wouldn't hit the Spore. There's a chance they'd pull that drone away.
Yeah.
And then you end up getting fished through the Spore and end up losing an Oracle. So
you're quite right. If you're going to be sitting there micromanage them, a lot of times it's better to just, you know, find the rhythm. Feel the rhythm. It's like, what is it? Feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme, something, something. It's bobsled time.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know Cool Runnings?
Cool Runnings. Oh, that's so fitting,
one of the greatest movies ever made.
Yeah.
One of the greatest stories ever told.
That's right. We have 4 Templars that have just now been warped in to become 2 Archons for this harass. And we saw Zest do this a little bit, I believe, even at IEM Pyeongchang.
Oh, yeah, yeah. This is a build that Zest really likes. It's one of his preferred strategies, is to go Oracle into Archons with charge.
And it almost seems like when he does this type of strategy, he doesn't care if his opponent knows he's doing it. I think he just finds it overall a pretty clean build.
I think you're right. Like, it kind of is good against everything, and it does certainly help to force these roaches out here, which slows down any Hydroling Bane type of play.
We did see one Oracle get gunned down.
Yeah.
But overall, a nice play there by Zest. It's hard for Zerg to deal with this. It can't be emphasized enough. You know, when the Archons come and the Oracles are there and the Phoenixes, there's so many ways that the Protoss can manipulate the Zerg's army so that there's a favorable exchange. And really, when you look at the Archons, the fact that these are like 90% shields, you can do so much damage. The War Prism can pick them up and pull away. And then the moment that you think you're going to lose, you pull away, and you know their shields are going to come back eventually.
Yeah.
You rinse and repeat.
Pretty quickly, to be honest.
And the Zerg is hemorrhaging so many units in this process.
Psystorm on the way right now. Of course, he's getting a ton of scouting intel while doing this. The damage is almost icing on the cake, right? Just kind of preparing for anything that Leenock may have coming. Obviously, a decent amount of Hydras being made. He has those Roaches to support right now. One of the main things that Zest is going to want to look out for is, will there be a Lurker Den?
Little victories here for Zest again.
Yeah, seriously.
Jeez, 5 drones killed and delayed mining on the 4th base. Leenock is still powering up, but we're getting to some very important moments here. Another Immortal is about to pop out here. Psionic Storm is done. It's a whole new beast when Psystorm's done, facing off against a Protoss, because they're just very hard to break at that point in time. And even if you have a decent surround, if you're not ready for a Psystorm to hit part of your army and you don't control it, the amount of damage that happens so quickly is insane.
Oh, yeah. It can just ruin your whole time, man. They Psystorm some Banelings and you don't have them out of there. And ooh, goodbye. Lurker Den coming up, Spire coming up right now as well. I haven't seen Baneling speed, so that, you know, that's definitely one thing here that Zest doesn't have to worry about at the moment. Making a lot of Immortals, a lot of scouting going on by Zest still as well.
So, the 4th base for Zest is being taken, and we generally see when Zest has his 4th base up and running, that's where he completes the circle of tech. He's going to get his Stargates up, and he's going to try to get a read on what Zerg's doing, and that's what this Phoenix is out to try to spot for right now, is what are those key tech structures that Leenock has, and when can Zest actually attack and still survive a counterattack from Leenock?
And he sees the moment that the infestation pick goes up, and that is very important because when you go for this style of units, this unit composition rather from Zest, really you're worried about Broodlords. That's the main unit that can counter this army.
Sorry, is there a War Prism with these Archons? I don't see anything coming this way.
No, those Archons just kind of came out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was a little bit weird.
Yeah,
and I still don't know where the War Prism is now. There it is. The War Prism slept in, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what happened? I think he let the Archons out, and he was going to do a Zealot Warp in to attack that new base. And I think he uses all army hockey. I think he pulled a hero.
Oh.
I think he saw the roaches come, and he's just like, okay, all army, let's go up here and deal with this. Because, yeah, he's had pretty good scouting, so I think he knew that he just needed to kill that. So losing 2 Archons, yeah.
Let's see if Leenock can actually hold this base down here. I think the War Prism might be trying to... No, it's actually going to stay put. I thought it might try to go into the main here, too. This angling, by the way, is pretty good for the Zealots. You're going to get a pretty nice exchange. The Lurker push is coming up here. I think between the Immortals and the Templars, this is much easier said than done here for the Zerg.
Great spread of Lurkers.
Yep, well, he's going to have to, because with Storm, if they're bunched up, they're just going to die.
Some Archons being made. I think, oh my gosh, quite a few units actually going towards that 4th base as well. Looks like a flank is being set up, but his 4th base is not super well defended. Could Leenock actually get a pick off here?
That would be pretty huge. We see the army actually coming up here from the south, so he may end up hitting Leenock's army from behind. These Hydras don't really have an easy way to escape. Not clear if the actual Nexus is going to be picked off. It was only 3 workers killed. Meanwhile, the Lurker push appears to be resuming over here at the 3rd base for Zest.
Yeah, Zest is doing a good job defending against everything so far this game. Leenock is maxing out, oh my god, 19 Mutalisks.
This is pretty cool. Not surprising from Leenock, but definitely pretty cool because there's not a real anti-Muta army here.
No, it's not. But we showed the one Phoenix in the top right. He's making 2 carriers. That doesn't help. Those 19 Mutas, like, the thing is, you can defend against that. Does he have a Prism still? He does have a Prism still. It's out on the map, though.
He's got 2 Phoenixes, too. Is he still making more Phoenixes?
I don't know. Maybe he realized that Mutas are on the way.
And this hatchery goes down, which means it's 4 base to 4 base. The question is, can Zerg just bludgeon the Protoss and just get in here immediately and do damage?
Here's the thing. This area, this wall, Archons can't get through there, right?
That's a good point.
So you have to warp in Stalkers at this point. He doesn't have Blink. I mean, this is a little bit tough to deal with, to be honest. He is switching over into Phoenix production.
So I believe he has 2 total.
Tags the Mutas. I don't think he needs them tagged. I know where they're going. Right up here. Okay, a couple cannons, so that'll like slow him down a bit, but he loses both of those Phoenixes. This Mutalisk tech switch actually doing massive damage to Zest. Oh god, the counterattack.
So the problem is that Zerg has so much supply of Mutalisks. And these Mutas are actually doing a decent amount of damage, 20 probes killed here, but he has to choose. He's going to attack or defend. Some great Psy Storms here. Perhaps not enough, though. These guys are starting to really tear each other apart.
Yeah, Zest killing a base, so this brings Leenock down to 3 bases, really. A 4th is being remade as well.
But I think this base will go down as well, Artosis.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like the small army number is going to have to deal with that. But with that push from Leenock taking out Zest 3rd, I think that then Zest can go uncontested and just knock these bases down like bowling pins as he moves through.
You need a lot of Mutas to kill 5-6 Archons, but some of these Archons actually getting spread from the other ones, so the Mutas come in and can actually battle a little bit.
He needs to keep this group together. The Immortals counter the Roaches, the Archons counter the Mutas. It's actually Leenock on 3 bases, Zest on 3 bases, and he recalls home.
Good recall. Yep. Definitely an excellent recall there. Does not want to lose the rest of that army. He still has got a strong army, but Greater Spire is on the way. And when you're sitting here making Phoenixes and your opponent's going to have like Hydras plus Broodlords, that's a little bit hard to deal with.
But there are enough Phoenixes. These Phoenixes can answer the Mutas, and they can also pick up the Lurkers, nullifying their use in this game.
Good micro right here. The Phoenixes coming up on the side, helping out. Oh, great Psy Storms as well. Leenock losing so much of his army here.
I think Zest is beginning to really flood the map, and you can see the unit combinations are they're not really going to do that much at this point in time, and in fact, the Mutas are just going to be killed off as the Phoenixes can catch up oh so easily. Look at that. Great pickups there at the end. Leenock's army continuing to thin out. I'd say the one that he remakes from here is going to have a lot less sophistication. It's mostly Hydras, and Storms can easily just obliterate those.
This is, I mean, this game was pretty good and pretty close, but it seems like Zest is going to be able to finish off Leenock. He got up to that Greater Spire tech, but just can't even go for it. Yeah.
You know, this has actually been a great game through and through. Zest is not actually mining from his natural base. I don't know if that's going to matter because Zest is still going around the map smashing different locations that Leenock has.
And even if he loses this army, he has a half army stuck behind buildings back at his house, back at his main.
We call it his house.
His house.
This is Zest's house. So, wow, 3 Archons there.
Yeah, man. Hey, when you recall, you got to kill some of your buildings. Archons cannot get through normal walls.
That's exactly what he's going to have to do here. Again, great pickups by Zest. This is keeping Leenock very small. And the Phoenix is still continuing to move around the map. Here we go.
It's such good usage of the Phoenixes, too, because once you kill the Mutas and you have this many Phoenixes, you're never going to see Mutas again that game.
Yeah, yeah.
This game would have to go to like 45 minutes in the weirdest way to see Mutas again.
Different structures on both sides destroyed. Yeah. Tech paths have been reset.
Truly bizarre stuff. By the way, he's not mining from his natural, but he has 27 instead of 16 probes on his 3rd, so... Or I guess it's his 4th, technically. This game is just so hectic. Zest is having a hard time managing this economy. Yeah, we keep going back there. It's like, you have to kill that cannon. You have to do it.
Oh, no, you don't, Artosis. Watch this.
Yeah.
How's that for efficiency? Well, now that he has that to add to his army,
yeah, it's a loss.
I think he's in very good shape.
I do like that Leenock is going into Lurkers. That's like kind of the one unit that can fight against what he has. And I mean, obviously Zest, you look at this army and you think, well, this is a clear Zest victory. But really, Leenock doesn't have any other options. Lurkers are about it based on the army he has and the type of the hurtful ways his economy has been damaged.
It's funny because this was such a slugfest of a game, but eventually things calmed down as they both had to go back and try to reassemble their bases. It is still Zest who's got kind of a pin here on Leenock. Leenock would like for these Hydras to try to at least have the opportunity to move out on the map, but the moment that Leenock moves out, the Phoenixes will immediately come in and get a bunch of free kills. Although the Phoenix number has been whittled down, I guess it's still okay because the Mutas are no longer a threat in this game.
Yeah. Carrier production begins once again. Not with the greatest of economies, but he does see the Lurkers out there. Even Adaptive Talon's on the way. So definitely committing to these Lurkers, and I think that this is the right call from Leenock. A small number of carriers won't fare super well against those Hydras unless you nail them with Psystorm. And the Lurkers can oftentimes prevent that to some degree.
So the
crazy games today, Taste.
Oh, this has been a wonderful day, man.
Seriously good day of games, and not just because Scarlett won the group.
No, I mean, just overall, the quality strats and plays that we're having.
Yeah.
It's something else.
And we were talking a lot about this in the beginning of the cast about how I Am Pyeongchang just had like a serious amount of different plays, strategies, styles all coming to bear.
Yeah.
And we're kind of seeing that today as well, even though we're only watching 4 players. A lot of different stuff is occurring here, a lot of crazy games.
By the way, this is another big victory here for Leenock, excuse me, for Zest, since he's going to lose some of these over here. But Leenock with some pretty good control on the map, basically denying any kind of push here from Zest. But Zest is going to have to come out pretty soon and do something. He is maxed out. It is Leenock who's still basically reassembling his army. We see drops are available, and that Leenock's basically back to 5 functional bases.
Yeah, that is an important thing to point out. They've both hit their max, so stuff can get really wild and crazy again. Zest, by the way, has had great observer placement in these games.
Is this army going to keep going up? He could end up intercepting the Overlords. No.
Yeah, he doesn't realize it. Like
he has no idea.
Zest is going to intercept this.
Oh, wow.
He doesn't realize that there was an observer in the path of these Overlords, because normally you don't have observers sitting around the map in this matchup. That's like a PvT thing mostly.
And it looks like at least 2 Overlords are going to be picked off. I think he could actually come in with the Phoenixes and pick up some of them as well. You know, I have to say, after the big fighting happened on the map, it just seems like Zest was able to keep aggression. And slowly but surely, Leenock seems to be falling apart in this game. Like, this hatchery, 100% will be picked off. We already have 22 drones that have been killed. The drop was denied. And usually with a drop like that, you really have 1 or 2 big shots to pull that off. Because after that, the drops just become part of the game itself, and Protoss is prepared for it.
Well, Dark Shrine is on the way. I really like that as well. That's cool. You know, when the game is this kind of dirty, it's hard to cross all your T's and dot all your I's, right? Like, to actually have spores in the right places and always remember to have overseers with your army. This has not been a normal game by any means. A lot of corruptors out there right now to help deal against these carriers. How many carriers does he actually have? Is it 3, 4? How many?
I think it's 3 in this army. It looks like a 4th one is going to pop out.
Okay.
And I think he's going to not have any more supply to really go for that. In fact, he's just now maxing out. Oh, man, that's a lot of Lurker shots you're eating.
Yeah.
But he does tag some of them. However, I think Zest more interested in ignoring the Lurkers since they don't have time to try to reposition up here.
Oh, man, he's got these Vipers in here. Let's see what he can actually snag. Most certainly these are for Abduct.
Problem is that Psystorm is still a real thing in this game.
Pretty good dodges on these Psystorms. 5 Brutes on the way also.
Now he's smashed that expansion. He can always just go up. He doesn't have to fight Leenock. In fact, it's Leenock's burden to try to defend this base. Oh, look at these Templars that are already down here. Getting the mothership.
That was a very good Abduct. Does lose the other one without a spell, but definitely worked right there on the Vipers. Brings up his Lurkers, burrows them instantly here.
Immortal's gunning down some of those Lurkers, but I think overall the damage output for Leenock is maybe too high. Zest will have to give up this position. But does that really matter?
His anti-ground here is madness. Look at all these lurkers and broods. They're going to be able to cut through everything so well, but the Psy Storms come down. Some crazy Psy Storms right there. Is there enough anti-air to finish up the broods, though?
Some of these Zergs are just too bunched up when the fights occur. A Zealot attack down at the bottom takes out an expansion there.
But hold on, this isn't over yet. Actually, Leenock breaking through right now despite losing his bases.
Yeah, but it's two base to 5.
Yeah.
And I don't see this army going all the way across the map without Zest having just geared up to try to fight this off in time.
Certainly a good point. These carriers retreating, trying to rebuild their interceptors frantically here. That last Immortal will definitely be picked off. And
Look at
in
this.
fact,
He actually begins to then bully the army back. And I don't think, wait, there's no minerals, right? Yeah, Leenock's dead. GG. Zest does it. Winning that series, he now gets to go to face off against Innovation. That's the final boss for Zest as far as I'm concerned.
Well, he lost against the final boss. This is the vice boss.
All right. This is when you go to the final boss, but it's on easy mode. You ticked it down because you just want to beat the game and move on with your life.
It's like, okay, listen, Dark Souls Scarlett Edition. I don't want any piece of that.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm gonna go on to Innovation mode.
That's right. This
a little bit easier.
This is more of a Cuphead boss, really. So, Leenock, I thought he had a great showing. Honestly, it was back and forth, and there was a lot of skirmishes throughout the map. Zest came out on top, and a deserved win, but it's not done yet. When we come back, our final best of 3, Zest versus Innovation.
I fight the world, I fight you, I fight myself, I fight God, just tell me how many burdens left. I fight pain and hurricanes, today I wept. I'm trying to fight back tears, flood on my doorsteps. Life is living hell, puddles of blood in the street, shooters on top of the building, government aid ain't relief. Earthquake, the body drop, the ground breaks, the poor run with smoke lungs and scarred face. Who need a hero? You need a hero, look in the mirror, there go your hero. Who on the front lines at ground zero? My heart don't skip a beat even when hard times bumps the needle. Mass destruction and mass corruption, the souls of suffering men, clutching on deaf ears again, rapture is coming. It's all prophecy, and if I gotta be sacrificed for the greater good, then that's what it gotta be. Pray for me. Take my pain for me, save my soul for me, 'cause I'm alone to see. If I'm gonna die for you, if I'm gonna kill for you, then I spill this blood for you. I know I'll never
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
아프리카 TV에는 당신이 아는 것보다 다양한 인종이 살고 있죠. 말 많은 인종, 발 빠른 인종, 잘 먹는 인종, 영리한 인종, 친절한 인종까지. 모든 게 컨텐츠가 되고 누구나 주인공이 되는 세상. 알고 보면 멋진 세상.
Are you free? Africa TV.
신혼침대는 좋은 거 사야지. 결혼한 친구들한테 물어도 보고 후기까지 다 챙겨봐야 돼. 근데 보다 보면 어차피 침대는 가구가 아니다. 침대는 에이스다. 에이스 침대.
나는 간다. 대한민국을 대표해 우리 지구를 대표해 가장 큰 할인 혜택을 가지고.
혜택의 스케일이 다르다. 여기요.
여기요.
가구 보는 눈은 서로 다를 수 있죠. 근데 침대 보는 눈은 같을걸요? 어차피 누워보면 몸이 아니까. 침대는 가구가 아니다. 침대는 에이스다. 에이스 침대.
여기요. 와, 근데 할인 혜택이 엄청난데요? 첫 주문 할인 3,000원, 인기 프랜차이즈 할인 2,000원, 타임 할인 15% 2,470원, 결제 할인 3,000원까지 해서 부대찌개 2인 세트에 3,430원입니다.
오, really? 혜택의 스케일이 다르다. 여기요.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.
Welcome back to the GSL Code S. It's time for our final match. Innovation versus Zest, two former champions of StarCraft 2.
Yeah, that's very true. Innovation, 3 gold medals, Zest, 2. I mean, these guys are two of the very best in the world. You just look at this on paper, you know, we put this, we write down this group on a piece of paper, right? We seal it in a magic envelope and send it back to a year ago. Everyone says that Zest and Innovation go through.
That's right, and here they are.
And then they look at it and they say, round of 16, wait, what? Scarlett in the round of 16? Yes.
Yeah.
And now the round of 8.
That's right, because now we're here in the future. These two players are going to have to eliminate each other. I don't know who's going to move on. I think it's supposed to be Innovation, but he may still be brooding after that loss against Scarlett. That was crazy the way that series went.
This feels wrong that one of these guys go out here, doesn't it?
It feels wrong, but actually Artosis is so right because that's how good the GSL is.
What do you think about a round of 9? It just doesn't ring the same way as a round of 8, right?
It does. We have to have 2 players to play in Archon mode together. This is the nature of the game, man. It's gotten this competitive that either Zest or Innovation are about to be eliminated. I'm personally guessing that Innovation should win this, but I think Zest has had in every series he's shown that he is a solid player. He can hang on. He can weather a serious storm. He can take it to late game and close it. And I think a very, very sophisticated understanding of Protoss. But Innovation, I mean, he's basically perfect when he's on.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak. Zest.
I almost wonder if fatigue is going to be a factor here for Zest. That had to be a very exhausting series he just played against Leenock.
Is he a robot? He's doing a PVZ wall in.
Innovation.
Oh, look at that.
Well, you can wall against Terran.
Well, let's see what he does as this pans out.
But this is generally not where you'll place this.
You know, this has happened before, though, to players.
I do this all the time.
I was going to say, I'm sure some of you guys who've played games online, you'll get out of a matchup, and you'll start to place your buildings like you did in the previous game.
Because you're still thinking about it.
Yeah.
I
mean, you get mixed up in your starting location or just something weird like that.
It doesn't necessarily mean anything. You can wall, and against a lot of builds you should wall without the mothership core. Hellions can really ravage a probe line early on, even if you've made units to try to stop them if you don't have a wall. So, I mean, that could be part of it, but normally people do that with later buildings. So I do find it interesting that he's chosen to do this type of building placement. It's very uncommon to see your first buildings placed like this in this matchup.
So, what really to expect from Zest here? I feel like whenever we're casting Innovations games, generally it's kind of going to look the same. Innovation tends to not really want to do anything that wouldn't allow him to get to a point in the game where he's mass producing and pushing. Zest, I'd say Zest is a little bit more dynamic, and dynamic does not mean better. You can have a big range of play, and against somebody like Innovation, you can still be worse, but
yeah.
I'm thinking we're going to have a little bit more variety here. So it is going to be Stargate.
You see how close they are? Offline match history, 11-12 with Innovation barely leading that. That's pretty crazy.
So around this time, you know, with Innovation still licking his wounds after the Scarlett match, and Zest, I will say that is a little bit of a workout on your brain, having to play the games that Zest had to play. I think this is not ideal for him, just going up against Innovation. Even though I think Innovation probably a little bit miffed by that series. That's, you know, when we saw Innovation lose against Scarlett, that was not really how his games normally ever look.
Yeah, I mean, normally he does not get cheesed out or anything, and I mean, Scarlett just kind of outdid him, so good on her.
That's when you know you're against someone who has the timing down exactly, Artosis.
Yeah. Indeed, you're right about that. Double Widow Mine on the way. Already has this wall in up, so this will be good against this Hellion-based play. Again, not uncommon to see a wall in this matchup just with the first buildings, which is why we brought it up. But Medevac on the way. We'll see how many Widow Mines he ends up making. Okay, he's going for 4 Widow Mines, so definitely has potential to do a lot of damage with those.
We're going to have to wait and see what does Zest have, and is he actually going to be ready for when this comes in. Those Widow Mines already about to pop out.
Okay, the Oracle is flying across the map. If the Oracle gets picked off, of course, that is painful. But with the... Oh, look at that. That's kind of nice. Oops. Whoa, that was smooth.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, well.
Like, well, keep in mind, yeah.
If you pick it up, you've got to kill it, right?
Yeah. So, the Medevac is headed now. It's going to loop through the third. I think probably drop 1 mine at the third, 1 mine at the the second base here.
So like a delayed kill on the third probes?
Yeah,
like wait
maybe
till
puts it outside of the vision and waits for them to chain, move in.
That can be a good way to do it, for sure.
Well, oh my God. There are so many deceptive mind games with just the Widow Mines in general.
Yeah.
From just trying to hide them, for instance, like above a refinery. Okay, so he keeps both inside the medevac.
Okay, one's going to go into the natural here.
How fast can Zest respond? Maybe not fast enough.
Ooh, fast enough.
Okay, that was close. He picks up.
Yeah, this is going to be painful, though, with the Phoenix following it. You can actually micro to kill all this.
And the second Phoenix coming back.
You drop the mines, but the Oracle, of course, can go ahead, pick one off, go pick up the other one with the Phoenixes.
Where's the other one? It's headed down here now. So he should get him.
Yeah,
attack him.
He only ends up getting 2 probes total with all this.
So this did not pay for itself.
No. And the build that Zest is using now, this is something that, like, as soon as the charge kind of got a buff, Zest was practicing a lot. Quick third base with charge +1 armor and Phoenixes. So it's like,
right.
It was Zest's follow-up to Adept Phoenix, and it's more powerful because the Zealots actually do better in the late game, whereas eventually Adepts are a little bit weaker, and especially against something like this. Like, he's playing against siege tanks, man. Like, charge lots are the counter to siege tanks. I am loving Zest's position here.
I think this is really, really smart. And we already see the gateway explosion kicking in now as 6 gates are about to finish up. We'll have to find out if Zest is actually, if Innovation's actually ready for what Zest is going to throw at him. Still, I mean, basically the bare minimum as far as harass is. Overall, still total is 2 probes killed.
Yeah.
In this game. A Hellion, as well as the medevac and the Widow Mines were picked off.
And just the amount of units that Zest is going to be warping in shortly here. His economy is really strong. He's finishing up this +1 armor. It's about on time with the +1 attack.
We don't see him moving out, though, just yet.
Yeah, well, I think against this, like this position Innovation is in, you don't want to attack into that with charge lots. You know, he's behind buildings, he's got tanks on high ground and stuff. You're not really going to do that much. But if Innovation were to try to attack him anytime soon, Zest would slaughter it. So I'm looking at Innovation here, and I think he has to carefully take a third base and just defend very well for a long time.
And it seems like Innovation, or Zest is really aware that Innovation, oh my God, those are great pickups. Zest is predicting Innovation to try to take the top center. And he's actually got a pylon and a gateway warping in. So he wants to power warp in and try to smash that base, because right now Innovation is forced into a turtling position. Oh my God, this play is so good.
Ooh, I thought for sure that would fire.
Yeah, that was
close.
so last second. But again, every time he takes these Widow Mines out, that's less that can really fight against all these Zealots.
Working in more units right now. That gateway finishing up. He's going to get some Archons as well. I mean, you look at this army and it looks pretty scary, but Zest has the right counter against this, no doubt about that.
The army, of course, is tagged here by the Oracle, which means that positionally, I think Zest can actually pick a fight that's going to be pretty hard for Innovation to be ready for.
Yeah, he might be able to run in here and kill this. If he were to pick up every mine as he runs in, that would be huge. And in fact, he's just going to go around and do some harassment here, get that army off of everything else. Does he actually attack into those siege tanks, though? Those Widow Mines could really kill a lot of Zealots.
Well, the Widow Mines are not burrowed right now. Uh-oh. Okay, he sees those Zealots over there. Another little pickup here. He's got to be careful. Those Marines, if they get a good stim and targeting down onto that, it's hugely problematic. Innovation just totally pushing southbound here, kind of putting Zest on the defense.
All right, Zest turns around. It's time to fight. Picking up these Widow Mines so quickly here, just charging in all over Innovation's army. One of the Widow Mines go off, 2 of them go off.
These Zealots swarming the Marines and Marauders like bees, coming down from both directions. Innovation, it looks like he does have enough on the ground. If he can just target down this Archon, the rest of this should be driven out.
But where are his medevacs? That is the big question here. If you can't heal this type of army, how are you going to end up winning in the long term?
That's very true, Artosis. Every stim means the army's a little bit more bruised, and if Innovation commits to going all the way to the bottom of the mat, will he have enough to sustain and when these Zealots keep warping in? Innovation has not started mining from that third base, where Zest is just now taking his 4th.
Yeah, Innovation's SCV count is not super high either, only sitting here at 39 workers. He has made 1-1, but I haven't seen an armrie. Whoa. I don't think he even has an armory, does he?
This is so crazy. Look at the play here. Yeah, I'm a little bit worried if Innovation makes 1 or 2 more mistakes, that he could just die.
Well, he's going all in on these 3 bases is what it really looks like to me.
Seems like it too, yeah.
I think he's like, okay, well, this is kind of a sticky situation, but like, for instance, when +2 finishes, that is a huge moment for Zest. To be up an armor upgrade in this type of situation where you're mostly relying upon charge lots is huge, but Innovation is pumping out a lot of Widow Mines, and they build quicker now. So, you know, that is a lot of splash damage against these Zealots as well.
You can see as we move around with the Terrence army, Zest is looking for any opening for a stray Marauder, a stray Widow Mine, a stray Medevac.
Really stand on top of that.
I think intelligently so. Innovation's bunching up these mines where if Zest makes 1 bad commitment, the entire air army is gone.
Yeah, and if he were to kill that air army, suddenly this whole game is in a different spot. But look, he's only got 4 medevacs right now. He lost some of them before in that earlier attack.
Look at this counterattack. The Zealot's coming up. Now, there's really nothing to defend here.
That's going to do a lot of damage, but that takes a lot of Innovation's army away right here.
Okay, some of the Widow Mines are going to be burrowing. The Phoenix is actually going over the Marauders here.
Oh, they draw some of the Widow Mine hits over the army as well. GG. All right.
Zest. So good. Innovation is starting to feel the pressure.
Yeah. I'm surprised that Innovation did the first attack with the siege tanks and all. Because, like, just Zest's build there is very good against that type of play. And we saw that even though Innovation still had some army left over, if you lose your technical units, right, he lost his siege tanks, he lost his Widow Mines, he lost his medevacs. So then he has to run away with his, like, red Marauders and Marines, and then he's, like, just making bio and kind of giving Zest, like, a lot of play there. You know, Zest can continue to harass, Zest can continue to expand, because you've lost the oomph in your army. So
I do wonder if maybe Innovation looked at the situation and said, I think I'm going to get further and further behind. Let me try to push out now and try to do that damage before this starts to get out of control, which may also mean Innovation misread the kind of game Zest was going to bring here. Zest, despite his loss against Scarlett earlier, is closer to getting out of this group. Despite him going against a player, Innovation, easily one of the most accomplished players in StarCraft 2 history. Artosis, we may see Innovation get eliminated in the round of 16.
That could be the case. He's up with his life on the line here in game number 2.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak. Zest.
Looking pretty strong in that last game, I gotta say.
He really was. I'm wondering what Innovation's going to do differently this time around.
Innovation.
I mean, you know, Innovation, he had his micro, he had his macro. I just feel like that one move out was a tough one for him to go from. And the thing is, from there, he was a bit all in. He never went for an armory. He never tried to get additional upgrades. And if you, it's definitely like a somewhat popular strategy we've seen lately. Players staying on 1-1 and just trying to really mass up units and kill a Protoss. But when you do that, and the Protoss is spinning those forges, man, you are on a clock. That's for certain.
You know, we should point out, too, that Zest had a lot of good assassinations with his Phoenixes. From the medevacs at the start of the game to snagging Widow Mines here and there, picking up tanks. Those were a lot of gas-intensive units that Innovation invested in that many of them never got a shot off. And not only that, but during the skirmishes, usually the Phoenix weren't picked off. I mean, I'm curious if we could go back to that game and see what kind of value those Phoenixes got out of that, because at the very end, and it was really in that last battle too, even though some of the Widow Mines burrowed, Zest really smartly just pulled them all over. And everything that happened there, the damage was dealt out too quickly.
Yeah.
You know, had he not hit all those unique attacks and taken out those units, I think the game would have certainly looked differently. I don't know if Innovation would have won, but I think it would have been closer for sure.
It's definitely a good point. Like, knowing exactly what to do with your Phoenixes in a situation like that, right? Lifting up some of the Widow Mines, and then the ones that you can't. Your Phoenixes were the first in, so they're auto-targeted, and to fly those over the bio to bring some splash in. There was a lot of great moves there for sure. Innovation getting away with this Reaper. Looks like he's going for a very fast triple command. So definitely going for that high econ early on.
And
but Zest is making a robo.
That's right. Well, I can't say I'm surprised by Innovation doing this. I think he wants to actually get into the kind of game that he's hallmarked is being the best at, a standard macro game. Especially today, we've seen so many games where players are able to undercut each other and eke out damage early on to the point where whatever a proper mid-game is supposed to look like, well, it might not really be that important because of all the different points in the game where damage was dealt early on. And that's a great way to play, too.
Yeah, and by the way, looking at Zest's build, this looks like a very safe build, going Observer and adding a couple more gates. Now, if this had been like an all-in with the Robo, right, if he had chronoed out a Prism and had some sort of plan for that, maybe that will pair up well against the quick 3 command. But as is, I think the Innovation's build is going to be pretty happy with what it's found itself up against, right? So it looks like, the support bay coming up. Could be, it's definitely drops coming, right, I would say? Or, I mean, you could go for just a weird Colossus build, but I would imagine he's going to do like maybe a Speed Prism Colossus or a Disruptor Harassment.
Let's see what he's got. I think the Colossus Harass could be pretty good, especially against this. I don't think Terran has a whole lot to answer that with, but it's also possible that Zest is really just trying to go for a different tempo game here, one where he's got an army that is pretty good overall. And, I know that we always talk about how Innovation is the best and, he can beat basically anybody. Times do change. Maybe we're seeing, the beginnings of a new era here where both Zest and Scarlett can actually outmaneuver Innovation in a macro game or a high-paced micro game.
We'll see how that one ends up going. Double Forge being added, third Nexus being added, nothing out of the Robo support base. So, I think this has to do with the fact that his Observer flew up and saw what he was against. He hadn't gotten out a quick Prism. And yeah, looking at the builds, I like how Innovations matches up. But Zest isn't, like, dead, for instance, right? If Zest had been going for a slower gateway-centric build, then that's where suddenly Innovations build goes very well against that, right? Because he's got a much quicker economy, and if you're both just kind of making the more basic units, Innovation will have more. But here, adding in this splash damage from Zest, he's going to have to stay very defensive. Like, very defensive. He's going to have his observers spread well so he sees where everything's coming from.
Yeah, well,
But he should have enough to kind of fudge any attacks.
Yeah, well, of course, a lot of this depends on where the Colossus is, and then where's the rest of the army. Let's say the Innovation plays a game where he goes out and just finds the observers and kills them and starts to drop in different locations.
Yeah.
This becomes a fundamental problem, really, for the Protoss, is that Protoss becomes immobilized, Terran continues to grow. Not just drops, but in general, counterattacks become a threat. And it seems like that phase of the game for Innovation could begin to activate as he takes his third.
Yeah, and look at this. Zest very carefully watching when will this third be taken. He's starting to defend an additional amount, sending some units up to the main base to stop drops, sending some over to the third with those shield batteries, kind of zoning in between all of these bases. He knows that Innovation's army is bigger. It is a little bit stronger, but he's got these technical units. If he hits his force fields, if he micros his Colossus right and everything's in the right position, he can still hold on here. These sentries are so important right now. If he doesn't hit his force fields, Innovation can just do a lot of damage.
Okay, as 1-1 approaches being completed for Zest, Innovation is skirting around the map. Let's see if he spots any observers that might be out here trying to spot for him. We already have one observer coming back. I believe there's another observer. There it is, over this army. If he sees it, he'll scan and kill. But instead, a kind of dicey play there by Innovation. Pokes out and narrowly escapes being trapped by force fields.
Okay, good movement so far by Zest. Innovation stimming and running around right now. A force field goes up. The rest of the army running around. He's going to catch this Colossus for sure. One Colossus going down. The Guardian Shield doing a lot of work here, but Innovation continuing to push forward.
surprisingly enough, really Zest with actually pretty damn good control.
Yeah.
I think you're totally right about that Guardian Shield. And after the fact, the Observer is targeted down and picked off. Now, was Zest's army beaten up enough that Innovation can actually take the initiative and try to gain control of this position? I think maybe.
It's really hard to say. He's got these Observers. He's got 2 Colossus, which is so critical right here as well. But those Marauders don't care about Colossus that much anymore.
Well, this control here with the Colossus has been pretty good. It looks like the second one will go down, but is there enough when it's all said and done for Innovation? The 2 Widow Mines are picked off as well. We have another Colossus about to come out, but it might be the overall flow of Innovation's army being macroed out that has, I think, a better balance for every engagement.
Yeah.
If the next Colossus is picked off pretty easily, which it could be, then it's suddenly a pretty strong ground army that can heal. It's got mines and everything else.
Well, look at Innovation, how he's spreading this army now. Zest was doing a great job targeting Marines with the Colossus, but he's spread those a little bit more. He's got some Vikings in here.
He keeps respreading. Zest being very cautious with that Colossus. Innovation, same thing. He cannot afford to overextend here.
Oh, man, all these Zealots actually getting clumped up quite a bit. Blink is about to finish, but not done quite yet. Zest, can he hold on until this Blink is done?
That Colossus at about half health as reinforcements slowly come over here. In one overextension here by Innovation, it could cost him the game at the same time.
Probes being pulled, but as more Widow Mines come down, that becomes a very dangerous game to play.
We do have an Immortal in the mix here, just at the bottom of the army, which is going to be very strong against those Marauders. And the Disruptor decision here is quite interesting.
Yeah, the Disruptor can be so useful here. And looks like it doesn't really get the greatest hit, to be honest. But with this Immortal out, doing a lot of damage. Look at that. Pulls back the Colossus. That was a great Colossus pull back. This Immortal getting so much damage. And Zest has a ton of Blink Stalkers from here.
Zest almost making this look easy.
Oh, my God.
As he dismembers that army.
That was crazy.
And now he has enough Stalkers that he can actually start to pursue. Whoa! No, he can't. Not if he does that.
Yeah.
No shields on those Stalkers. One badly bruised. Zest going to go back and try to regroup, teching up further.
Wow, that was like chills once again, my friend. That micro from Zest, though, just all the targeting and running away with the Colossus. He bought time for his Blink. Now he's going to have 2-2 against 1-1.
That's right.
And that's like, when you have 2-2 and you got Blink, you got Charge on the way here, there's an Immortal mixed in, you throw down a Guardian Shield, things can go wrong for Innovation very quickly at this point.
Now there's a big drop coming up. I don't believe Zest is in position to try to easily defend this. And with this one pylon here, this could be gunned down, shutting down a lot of power. Actually, Zest coming up here a little bit quicker than I thought, but still, right now, Zest taking a decent amount of damage. We'll see if that Widow Mine goes up.
That was a good drop.
Yeah,
it
was nice.
He got a Robo, he got that pylon, and look at this. He forces a cancel on the 4th base. Definitely very worthwhile.
It can easily be overlooked when you see the Terran being pushed back out, that there's actually little victories occurring everywhere. For instance, those pylons taken out, the Immortal being badly bruised, which could make it an easy target for this infantry army, as we see right here.
Oh, the drop flank here by Innovation, a beautiful move. He's got to do something right now, though, because Zest has all these upgrades finishing up.
Neither the Immortal or the Colossus take it out yet. Just now that goes down. But this Immortal gunning down each and every one of those Marauders in that attack.
Well, Charge is about to finish here. Still a lot of Stalkers left over. A Hero Immortal still in the fray.
Dude, what is this game? This tug of war that's been going on for I don't even know how long. Looks like finally the Immortal will be picked off. It is just Stalkers remaining, which may not be enough for Marauders with Medivacs trying to heal them. The Zealots now come in, allowing this army to be pushed back. I don't know how long this is going to go on for, but it could be for quite a while, Artosis.
Well, the Stalkers being microed well with Charge finishing up. It's really making this difficult for Innovation. A lot of Marauders coming, but it takes them so long to kill these. Setting up these Liberators, but Zest targeting them down very quickly as well.
Widow Mine's broed again, just out of range of the Zealots. Ground weapons level 3, 5 seconds away from finishing, so it'll be ready before the next fight for sure.
Okay, he's up 3 upgrades right now with a 4th on the way. That is a huge, huge deal at this point.
If he can just keep wearing this Terran army down, Zest should have an opportunity to attack. But again, whenever it's whittled down to just Stalkers, it comes down to just pure control here for the Protoss.
And he is being forced further and further back. Sure, Zest is losing some units here and there. but he's gaining a lot of value through these upgrades.
By the way, Terran's main and natural are about to be depleted as far as resources here. Ooh.
That's a good catch.
Yeah. I think actually Innovation may have to lift his main command center and try to float it somewhere else because he's not going to give up the pressure, I don't think.
Should he just pull the SCVs now? He's about to play against 3-3 with 1-1.
Well,
Sentries can almost start killing off these Marauders.
You know, I think if he was supposed to pull the SCVs, it probably should have been before 3-3 was done. But everything's hindsight. Everything's 2020 vision hindsight, however the expression goes. I don't know. You guys know what I'm saying. You guys get it. Zest with an opening now to do a small counterattack. And I don't know if Innovation's going to be able to actually keep his SCVs okay.
Well, denying bases is still pretty good.
Yeah, well, this is, you know, if he keeps it even on bases, maybe that's all he has to really do this time around.
His army supply is still really significant. It's just the upgrades that are the big problem here for Innovation.
Whoa!
Good turnaround.
That was close, and those Stalkers just walked on top of that Widow Mine.
Oh my God, Zest not watching his Innovation loops back in. A very risky move, but Innovation has to take some risks to win this game.
Widow Mine's about to be burrowed, but as that happens, Stalkers come up, do not manage to gun down the Widow Mines.
No, oh man, they actually target some of the Zealots under this medevac fleet. One unit left over with those medevacs.
Really the first moment we've had the ability to get a breather here in this game. Another round of reinforcements are coming down to try to push into this location. It's Zest on 4 bases to the slowly growing stale 3 of Innovations.
Yeah, Innovation. His army is stale at this point as well. 3-3 against 1-1 is something you never, ever want to see on the 1-1 side. He's still doing a pretty darn good job, I would say, but things are getting very grim indeed.
I'm surprised that Zest is actually trying to push up the ramp here. I think all he really needs to do is stay back and try to snipe with this Colossus. A drop to the main. There are some Stalkers here, just barely enough to make Innovation think twice. But the blink forward there with those Stalkers from Zest. Innovation, you know what? He's not reacting fast enough. I think he doesn't even know where to go with these.
He needs to recall those medevacs. Oh, man. Well, that's it.
Get one Phoenix and this game's over.
He can't get out. He's scanning everything. He's about to GG, man. He's dancing.
Yeah, this is.
There's like
he's
nothing
scanning
left for him.
everywhere. I think he's.
Oh my God, the feedbacks.
This. Look at this.
Why,
right
GG
now,
incoming.
Zest is like a Bond villain. Zap, zap. Okay. I think we just have Innovation right now processing this loss. GG.
Wow.
Zest manages to beat Innovation.
Innovation knocked out. He had that strong Leenock pick to start off the group selection, but things went awry from there, man. He gets 3rd place in his group.
Well, that's the time that we're in right now, one where Innovation is unable to move on to the round of 8.
It's a tough one. You know, one of the big hopes of Terran, one of the best players in the world, being knocked out here. Nice series. But it's hard to fight on Tasteless when it's 1-1 against 3-3 there.
Yeah, I mean, that was really when his opportunities were gone. He tried to pull off a tactical maneuver where he could have had a fair exchange. It didn't work out. Yuri says, we found our 2nd player to make it to the top 8. It's your first time making it there in 2 years. Thank you. 2016, you won a GSL title. And now we're here in 2018 in Season 1. It's been so long. How do you feel? My first opponent, Scarlett, I actually put a lot of time prepping for that match. I think that my decision-making cost me the game. So that still disappoints me now. I heard some of the players talking in the makeup room. You said you mostly prepped versus Terran. Is that true? Well, let me put it like this. I mostly prepped on the ladder and just go over in my head what kind of builds I was going to use. So in the group nomination, Innovation forced you into picking Scarlett. You must have a lot of disappointment right now with your PVC. Tell us about that. Yeah, I personally think my decision-making was actually the fault. I think if I can try to revamp that, I'll be a lot better.
해야 될 것 같아요.
I did plan a lot of.
스칼렛 선수와의 마지막 세트, 마지막 교전.
I'm sorry, I had a lot of different things I wanted to try out in the game, but none of them seemed to work out.
그 진작 예언자가 안 죽었으면 그.
Did you feel like it was the void ray composition that went wrong in one of those games?
낼 수 있었는데 계속 거기서 시간 끌리는 바람에.
So, I think if my oracles weren't killed off early on, maybe it could have worked later, but without the oracles, it's harder for me to manage a game.
탑시드 이신영 선수와의 경기도 어려움이 없어 보였는데
But your matches against Terran today were quite impressive.
어떤 테란을 만나더라도 자신 있으신가요?
Are you confident to face any Terrans in the quarterfinals? So there are 2 Terrans in Group B.
근데 저그도 2명이 있기 때문에.
You know what? I'd be fine facing any of the Terrans in Group B.
저그전을 좀 빨리.
Actually, even the 2 Zergs in Group B, I'd be fine with them too.
조금 더 보완을 해야겠다 느끼시는 것
I'd like to try to redeem my Protoss for Zerg before I get to the Final Four.
수 없는 기회입니다. 이제 앞으로의 8강전 각오를 마지막으로 들어보겠습니다.
So this is your chance to go to an even higher round. What are your determinations?
세트에서 약간 지옥을 거의 봤다가 막았거든요. 그래가지고 힘들게 올라간 만큼 8강 더 열심히 준비해서 잘 하겠습니다.
I feel like I was knocking on hell's door when I was fighting against Leenock.
다시 한번 축하드립니다.
I'm going to prep harder just in my PVZ overall, and I'm going to bring better performance in the future. Congratulations, Zest. He says thank you.
Spoken like a champion. Wants to improve that matchup. He's having a hard time.
Well, I can't blame him. You know, I think he looked, if he's going to have to beat Innovation in a PVT, all you really need to do from there is refine and sand down your PVZ. Yeah. Both Scarlett and Leenock giving Zest a run for his money.
Indeed. Having a bit of a hard time, but what are you going to do? I mean, this was a great day.
Yes, it was the best day.
It was seriously.
It's been the best week ever, to be honest.
Pretty excellent time to be a StarCraft 2 fan. I don't know what else to say, man. I'm just like happy.
I want you guys to know that I'm happy.
Yeah.
I hope you're happy too. What an exciting day. Scarlett moves on against 2 no-joke players.
Yeah.
Taking out both Zest and Innovation. Somehow, Zest comes out number 2. Leenock dies at number 3. I'm sorry, Innovation dies at number 3, and Leenock is taken out first.
Even Leenock had some good moments here today, for sure.
I think he can't really beat himself up after today's games. He really showed that he is still a strong player, and I expect to see more and more of Leenock in future GSL Codesses.
Oh, absolutely, of course. It's just like what he does. But yeah, even almost beating Zest there. So some good play out of Leenock. This was just a terrific group. If you only tuned in for part of it and you're listening to me right now, I mean, go watch the rest because it was sick. It was awesome. Now, as we see, Scarlett and Zest cannot meet again until the finals. And which means if Sue were to win Group B, Scarlett can beat Sue in the finals. Think about that. Oh, wait, no, actually, those two will play on that side.
Yeah,
I thought it was top versus bottom.
When I saw you do that. So there is, in fact, a chance for a rematch of Scarlett and Zest, which I think would be the ultimate way, really, for Zest to try to redeem his own PVZ.
Yeah.
He certainly has enough time before we get to that match. Do not miss out on Wednesday at the time I think a lot of you guys are quite used to for the GSL. It's going to be at 6:30 KST. That's in the afternoon, of course. And we have Dark, Sue, TY, and Alive. And that's a tough one for who's going to move on. Alive has been playing better than ever in 2017. And TY, Sue, and Dark, do I really need to say more about that?
No, not really. I mean,
okay, good.
This round of 16 is just stellar. Like, if the player that seemed weakest in this round of 16 was Leenock, and he played this well in it, you know we got a sick round of 16. So that's going to be a great day. Make sure you tune in on Wednesday.
This tournament is panning out to be pretty sick, Artosis.
Indeed.
I got to say, every year that passes, it's so cool to see who stays on top and who falls down and maybe has to redeem themselves. It shows that the game is seriously changing, and people are still learning stuff about it. And Scarlett with the aggressive play.
Yeah, lots of aggressive play today, but also macro.
Aggro, yeah, doing different aggro strats, but then when she has to do a long, dramatic, drawn-out macro game, she's fine there, too. Yeah. I have no idea how far she could go, but I'm guessing it could be all the way to the finals, to be honest.
She could win this GSL the way she's playing, and that's not a joke. And, I mean, we try to hype up anytime we have a really great non-Korean doing well in GSL, but this is the first time, really, I would say, since Hydra at the very beginning, where we are literally saying Scarlett can win GSL.
Yeah.
So there you have it. Like, she's actually playing on the same level as the very top players.
Yeah, she really is.
It's crazy.
Life is good.
What a time to be alive.
Life is good. So we will be seeing you guys on Wednesday. And don't forget to check that schedule change that we had earlier. We do not have, after this Wednesday, a Saturday broadcast. Lunar New Year is coming up, so we're going to be in the holiday season here. Nobody in Korea is working then. After that, we then have a Wednesday and then a Thursday broadcast, a Thursday one at 9 p.m. KST, which we never have normally. So please spread the word on that. We love you. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are. We'll see you next time at the GSL Code S.
GSL Season 1, Code S, Daybreak.